Good morning, traders. Welcome back to another week right here at Trade the Pool, of course. Excited to get things started. We'll take a look at the playbook. We'll take a look at the sunrise report, and we'll talk about, of course, the big, beautiful bill. Will it go through? Another battle going on with Elon and Trump. How will this affect Tesla? Wait and find out. I mean, you guys can see from the price action definitely getting the hit, and we're leaking a little bit here now. As we were riding higher, we gapped up, but of course the gap up comes and now the leak comes in. We'll talk more about the price action. We'll see what's going on. New all-time highs. Yes, so everyone can still celebrate, but will it hang on now that we're past it? We'll have to wait and find out. We got a lot to talk about and see what's going on out there. You guys, if you guys got a trade you guys are looking for, let me know in the chat. I'm seeing a bunch of you guys just coming in here. We'll take a look to see what else is moving out there. Let's get after the show today, guys. We'll be seeing some small names moving out there. ARTL up over 100%. APDN also was up big, 128. There's some moving out there. We buy up 65%. So hey, let's get right to the trading action. Let's take a look at what's moving out there. We'll start in the overall market, take a look at what's going on in the SPY. We'll go to the playbook. We'll take a look at what's happening out there, but definitely another beautiful day and continuing to rip higher, guys. We'll see what happens now as we go ahead and we break towards the highs. Gap up, right? We're up past the, of course, Friday's action, and I'm going to put a line there because that's where I'm going to look for this to start to hold. So if we undercut that action, that's when we start to get a little concerned. Right now, I think we could at least test the support, and then we'll see if we go back into the gap zone or not. SPY continuing to hold on. Daily chart looking really good. MACD just starting to cross back over. So we could be actually going on a little bit of a ramp up. We'll wait and find out to see what happens there. Of course, the Qs were already higher. So in this case, I think we just continue to watch to see that the Qs could pull back, but the strength is definitely strong. You see how you're starting on the upside of the Bollinger Band. Now, if anything, starting expanded away. So look for potential pullbacks to come into play today. We'll see what happens if we do get a little pullback action and ready to play it here. All right, guys, and like always, we'll be taking a look to see what else is out there. Let's get to this morning's playbook. Let's take a look at some trade ideas that are in the market this morning. Let's get to it. Today's playbook action. Getting right into it. We got 3 new plays, at least plays that I have brought up, but haven't put on the playbook just yet. Now things are looking a lot better. Let's get to that action. As we're breaking new time highs, where can we look for some trades? Well, one of the trades that I've been talking about is to look for what? Well, to look for an adjustment of the narrative. Right. And so the consumer narratives, of course, were negative. They were really negative. And now I'm starting to see a flip of that narrative, right? Where the consumer action doesn't look too bad. I think this is why we're seeing names, of course, like Nike that pushed off their earnings report. This did kind of continue and it held on to that push, right? That gap. Now what got started? Well, ANF got started, and there's a reason why. It actually had really good earnings report, and it did pull back all the way back into the range. Now I'm looking to see if we could break out of that range to actually just go back to Friday's high and start to make the move back there towards 90 and maybe getting back towards 100. Of course, the earnings came out back in May 28th, and it's pulled back for a while. Now starting to get stronger. And of course, the narrative wasn't that bad to begin with in ANF, but it was in the consumer. So this flip could help this name start to get right back to the upside. Urban is one that actually has a good looking chart also. So if you're looking for apparel that's doing well, this has a flag pattern and did start to try to break out of it. Now, if we can just hold this trend pullback, we're looking good here for Urban to take that next spot and go to the upside. This will be one way that we could either play Urban or just ride that momentum and get after a name like ANF. Another name that I'd like to see get going is a name like Gap. Can it get back into the gap? Ha ha, pun intended. We'll see what happens there in Gap and some apparel. names. Of course, you can also take a look at the shoes names. I'm taking a look to see if On can make a move. It did bounce back on Friday, got a lot of volume, so that tells me more and more this one could get moving. Look at that volume that came in here, guys. That's a huge jump in volume. What do they know about On that I may not know? I'll tell you one thing. Got to set the alert here and look to see what happens in On out the gates, because it could be a bigger move up. We'll see what happens there. Going to set the alert towards, of course, the 5380s there and look to see if it goes higher and starts to push out. But the volume tells me, and it could be telling there. Of course, Crocs is one that I'm looking at to see what happens. Crocs, we'll see what happens with Crocs to see if it wants to go back. CROK, right? This is one that I talked about on Friday off of that Nike's report. It is starting to go higher. Can it really actually make a break here to the upside and get out of this symmetrical triangle? We'll wait and find out in apparel. And of course, Nike getting things started. Let's get to the next one here on the playbook. We'll go towards what? Long CRM. As I take a look at software, I've been talking about this trade for a little while now, and look at the amount of volume that came in on Friday. This is telling, guys. Look at that volume, guys. It is a huge jump after we got this huge jump in volume. And I specifically said, what did we need to see? We needed to see if we would get another jump in volume like we got here. And this was someone stepping up to the plate and buying. Now I'm looking for this to drive into this area to 300. I think this is one that is just getting started. And of course, we have a hot area to look in here, right? It's trying to catch a bid with Oracle leading the charge, right? Now it's Salesforce's turn. Can Salesforce continue to break out towards 280? We'll continue to look for the next software leg higher, but look how Oracle is leading the rally this morning. And it's not just going to be these names. Keep your eyes on different software names. ServiceNow is one that I'd be looking at, and I'd be watching all different types of service and software names to see if they start getting the jump. We'll see what happens with these names. Of course, this could be the next AI play. Smash the like for that right here, only on the playbook. Trade the pool, of course. Long XYZ. Let's take a look at XYZ. Of course, XYZ is block. And what did I started talking about last week? I started talking about how there's so much conversation in blockchain that this could get this move started. So we started to get the lift outside of the resistance. It broke to 65, and now it could start to rise. We'll look for a continued move here and look for blockchain companies to start seeing more attention as, of course, more talk about blockchain technology enters the media. All right, guys, that's going to do it for my 3 plays on the playbook. Like always, the playbook is put out every single morning on our Twitter. So if you don't have our Twitter, you're missing out every single morning. And like always, do a playbook of your own. These playbooks have been great. They've found a lot of great plays. But like always, guys, this is not for you guys to copycat trade, but more for you guys to learn the approach of every single day and getting ready for the market. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the Sunrise Report. This is where we give you what stocks are moving and why they're moving. So let's kick things off with this morning's Sunrise Report. All right, traders, the Sunrise Report is starting, of course, with the futures rising to close out a surging June. Of course, Wall Street is looking to end the month with strength as optimism builds around the trade progress and strong tech performance. Stock futures were moving higher in the early trading. S&P futures were up about 0.5, NASDAQ was up about 0.7, and the Dow futures were up 250 points, about 0.6%. And the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both hit all-time highs on Friday for June. And of course, with the S&P 500 going 4.4% in June, the NASDAQ up 6.1%, and the Dow up 3.7%. Markets have recovered sharply from those April lows when global tariffs tension really roiled and soiled that sentiment. Now, of course, the renewed trade optimism and solid corporate guidance is giving stocks a nice fresh lift higher. Macro policy is definitely something to look at as trade gets reset. Canada rescinding their digital service tax in a bid to resume U.S. trade talks following Trump's abrupt announcement to terminate all discussions on Friday because of this digital service tax. U.S. tech sector also rallied on the response of this as Meta was up 2% this pre-market, Alphabet up 1%, and Microsoft up 0.5. The G7 July 21's deadline for resuming trade talks is now the next major milestone. We'll see what happens there. Let's go moving over to stock-specific news. Let's go now to Moderna as we take a look at mRNA, right? You guys can see Moderna getting a little lift this morning. Why is it moving? Well, shares are surging 5% pre-market after a positive phase 3 result in the mRNA flu vaccine. Sorry about that. And so that's what we're going to be watching. I don't know about you guys. Are you guys taking that flu vaccine, the mRNA? We'll have to take a look at that. Of course, it will be coming out. It's not out right now, but I would like to know how you guys feel about it. The news, of course, opens the door for regulatory approval and advanced developments of a flu and COVID combo shot. Let me know. Are you guys interested in taking that combo shot? All right, let's move over to the Fed watch as we talk a little bit of some Fed conversation. Of course, we know how the Fed loves to converse and talk all day. They just bark, right? I mean, guys, they go all over the place. The Atlanta Fed president, Raphael Bostic, now telling CNBC that without more clarity, it is unlikely that the Fed would move on rates in July. I definitely think this is true anyways, regardless of what happens, right? Cited uncertainty around inflation and policy impacts are definitely affecting them. Of course, we've seen Trump call Jerome Powell everything but pretty much anything, really. He's called them anything, man. He's called them dumb. He's called them stupid. He's pretty much said that he's the reason why we're struggling and putting the blame all over Jerome. We'll see what happens, of course. Suggested businesses expect tariff-related disruptions to last until 2026. And we got to keep an eye out because tariffs are affecting out there. I can tell you guys, I'm going to tell a story probably during the show, and then I'm going to be putting out a tweet about it, about how the prices are changing, guys. I'm seeing things even at the dollar store changing. So we'll see what happens out there, guys. Let's keep going. We'll take a look at different action out there. But Fed watch on Bostic here, not looking good, holding the lines on rates as we keep looking forward. As we look into the corporate earnings outlook, there's more upside than usual. According to FactSet, 51 of the S&P 500 companies have issued Q2 positive EPS guidance above both 5-year and 10-year averages. So that's a good sign. That shows us that companies are expecting good numbers. 59% also issued negative guidance. Q2 earnings growth is projected at 5% year over year, which would be the slowest since Q4 of 2023, suggesting optimism is cautious, though, of course. We'll see what happens there. Let's move over now to Tesla and take a look at that action. Of course, we talked about how Elon is fighting with Trump again here, and it's not helping the stock. The stock is down this morning. We'll see if it can get a lift off of this report. I don't know about you guys, but I did catch this weekend as Tesla's self-delivering car moment happened. A Tesla Model Y delivered itself from Austin Gigafactory to a customer's apartment via full autonomy. A first, of course, for the company. Elon, if you don't believe Tesla will solve autonomy, you shouldn't invest in it. Comes as Tesla places a big bet, of course, on self-driving tech amid declining sales and rising competitions. Of course, we haven't heard anything else negative about the robo-taxis, and they are still being investigated. We can talk a little bit about Stellantis and Ram. As we are taking a look there and talking a little bit of some autos, as Ram CEO Tim Kanuskis is back from retirement and leading an 18-month revival plan that includes the return of the Hemi, V8 engines. Oh, I love these guys. I'll tell you right now, I know that there's a lot of people really excited about the horsepower that comes out of these electric vehicles, but there is nothing like a Hemi V8, baby. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still big on big motors. I enjoy them, and I will enjoy probably driving them until I'm out of here. Maybe my kids will enjoy those electric vehicles a little more than I do. Mechanical bull themed marketing is what you've been seeing. A new industry leading warranty is coming out from Ram. And the goals, of course, are to reverse a multi-year sales decline. We'll see what happens, guys. He said that I missed the fight because he was out, of course, on his return to Stellantis' struggling brand, and he's ready to fight for them. So Stellantis could be going higher, guys. We'll see what happens. It doesn't look bad right now. Looks like a nice little setup here. I actually really like the engine move, especially in a Trump environment. This could actually get Ram to get some sales here. And who knows? Maybe I look at a little bit of a Ram truck. I'm more of a Ford guy, but hey, I've been looking at some trucks. All right, we'll keep going, guys. Of course, what to watch this week is very important. There's a lot to talk about, and July 8th's tariff suspension deadline is looming. We'll be talking about the one big, beautiful economic package facing an uncertain path in the House, of course. Jobs data and inflation prints will help guide the Fed's policy outlook going into July. So those are all things that are on the radar to watch out for. Smash the like always, guys. We're here to inform you guys and give you guys everything for the Sunrise Report. Let's keep pushing to that next level. Let's keep taking a look to see what else is out there. Who's ready to trade and keep it going, guys? I know I'm ready to get after it. I've been taking a lot of swing trades, trying to push some of these swing trade accounts into the green, and not only in the green, because I've gotten in the green, but I want that goal. I want to get that funded. So, like always, guys, smash the like. If you haven't checked out our new swing plans, check them out right now, guys. Go over there, tradethepool.com, and check out our new swing plans, whether it be the flex or the max. Check it out for yourself today. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look around to see what else we could trade. We got a lot to take a look at. Let's go to my watch list and just kind of flow through there. What's hot today? We can take a look at some of those trades. Of course, there's so much to look at. We can also do 5-day price trend. So what's been doing well against the market? Of course, what do we see here? Right out the start, leading the action. Of course, AEVA. It's been an absolute monster ride. This stock is up over 800%. And we started bringing this stock when it was like at $13. It's not like we just started talking about this stock. So this stock, absolutely killing it. All right, we'll take a look at some other action there. Let's keep going, and we'll take a look at some other ones here, as the next one up is Pony. Pony with a nice little bounce back. It's not a big move, so I wouldn't really pay attention to it here. Clean Spark looks a little bit better. It looks like it wants to come for this longer-term trend line. We drew this a little bit back, but I think it's finally time to make a run towards that. So I'd be looking to see if we can get back up towards that level. It doesn't look bad right now. It looks like it's been trying to hold around the 863. Break out above the 11 here, and then make a run for this trend line. We'll see if we get back up there in Clean Spark. That tells me to keep an eye on Mara and different names here. We can watch to see what happens with this one. I really like the setup here. It definitely looks like it's trying to break out, right? You just got to wait for a move back above this. I'd be looking for a move to start playing back into this trend line and going for the 17 move. We'll see if we get Mara to make that move right now. I think you want to see Bitcoin also rip out. So you want to see BITO make a nice move to the upside. We'll see what happens with BITO if it wants to do that. I'm even going to add it to the watch list there to catch it. If it wants to go for this trend line, it's right there. Bitcoin, will it make a run? We'll have to wait and find out. Good morning to you guys out there. Jay Angelo in the house. Big me. What's up? What's up? How we doing? It's good to see you, Joey. What we got on the radar today, man? If you guys got a stock, you guys are watching, throw it up in the chat. I'll make sure to catch it. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other ones. Grail. I know I talked about this one, and I've talked about it since 40. This was probably the best day to get it. We had this big liquidity day on that Monday, and ever since then, it jumped back up, held the throwback look, and it's strong since then, guys, up now towards 50. And this could just be getting started. Look at the amount of volume that just came in it, right? Huge amount of volume there. We'll see what happens with Grail if it can continue to run and break new highs. Hood continuing to break highs. As this keeps going, this is about to break all-time highs and reclaim this 2021 pricing. And I remember when Hood was coming down, and it was a $10 stock at one point, guys. Now, this thing's almost $100. It's almost up 584%. This was an awesome investment if you got it. Now, it's kind of hard, right? You can ride the trades, but understand you're way higher, and it's going to be hard to invest in it now. This is where I think you have to take shots when companies are down here. I know that no one likes to invest in names that are doing bad, but the truth is, I think it's the only way to sometimes catch some of these high runners. We'll see what happens there in Hood. What a move there. All right, ARM, another one that's been taking off, and I've been talking about it since this break right here, right, where we broke above the 130, 128 area, and then we held it back. We've been taking off now. ARM is one to keep an eye out. AMAT, I talked about this one last week. It had a great week, guys. It started the week right here, right at the bottom on Monday, and now look where it's up about 7% from where we talked about it. I'd keep an eye on AMAT. Mara, we've already talked about that. I've talked about how bull I want to see take 11. It was all sideways there last week. Can it really take 11 and get to 12 this week? KLAC, of course, moving with that AMAT move, just continuing the stair step. I feel like 9 EMA attempts are really good for this one to catch on the pullback, but we'll see if these can keep pushing. RCAT, of course, the drone maker. We'll see if these drone stocks can get another lift. I think we need to hear more mentions maybe of some war conversation with drones to see that happen. MSTR trying to make a move, but hasn't really made the big breakout. Will today be the day? I'll be watching to see if Bitcoin wants to run. If MSTR gets above 400, it definitely looks great here. You can see how that would be a good look above this. We'll see if it can actually make that move. Snow, of course, running with all the cybersecurity names like CrowdStrike and others. These are just continuing to break highs and riding the trend, riding the wave. The defensive wave, of course, took a nice little hit there last week, right, with Palantir pulling back. But if you take a look at it, it's already climbing back from Friday's action. We'll see what happens if this one pulls back a little bit further or continues to break the new highs. CEG, of course, trading with the nuclear trade. I think this is just getting started. We can continue to look for some strength here. SMR is one that I'll be watching to see if I can recover and make another great win in. We'll see what happens there. Another thing that I'll be talking about during the show is some lithium action, is I did catch some conversation more about grid batteries. You know how I am. I'm always trying to catch you guys on the next theme that could get the run. We'll talk about it here, only on Trade the Pool, of course. All right, guys, running through as many names as I can here before 9 a.m. There's 9 a.m. already, so let's just go through a couple more, and then we'll start the show off for real. You can see GEV kind of hanging in there. Zscaler pulling back a little bit further. Some people are watching this AUR. I know we got a Kramer mention, so keep your eyes on that. This APLD, of course, got a good mention with CoreWeave. It's been pulled back into kind of a flag and kind of holding on. Will it come back down towards the lows, or will it actually start to push again is one that I'm just keeping the radar on. IonQ, definitely on the radar. It can sideways action. I was watching this on Friday to see if it would make a big move. I think it needs to break 42 and start to drive higher to 50. We'll see if this one can take out the 50 and go to a new level. All right, that's going to do it for me. And if some of that watch list, of course, you guys can always ask me if there's any name that's on your radar and I can add it to the stocks that are hot watch list. We'll see what happens. Like always, guys, when it continue going, it's time to really kick off the show. It's time to start that countdown and get to the trading action. Let's start that show and see what we can make some money today. Let's get after it. Let's trade the pool.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
What up out there, traders? Who's ready to get to the trading action? I know one guy is for sure. What's up, Michael? How we doing?
What's going on? Another great day. Another great day to be a bull.
That it is, my friend. And oh, white hat, baby. We're white hot. We're white hot
Oh,
right now.
nice.
We're gonna ride the market. We're gonna ride it until the party stops. Right? It's the white party. Nobody wear black to the white party, guys. We'll see what happens. You know, they call green candles, some of them call them the white candles, right? Back when it was, just black and white, right? So we're on the white
OG.
candle ride. And we'll see if this can continue to ride up. So celebrating, we got to do at least a little dance as we got, of course, the new all-time highs, baby. Everybody bring your dance. Dance. Everybody let it rain. New all-time highs. Forget the Bears.
Well, and what's wild is what I got up here shows that the institutions are still short. They didn't study history, so they shorted into that whole World
They
War
pushed
III
to the
thing.
next level. They're shorting a little bit more.
Yeah, they're 59% short. Sorry,
Wow.
in this SP 63% short. So we got commercials and we've got retail bullish. Can we just give a big round of applause for that's been probably the greatest retail total trade that I've ever seen in my career. They plowed money into the market at the bottom, just hand over fist, and now they're selling some. So where we have institutions who shorted into the down move and now they have to cover. So generally speaking, not how it works out. You usually see the institutions get a little bit of a leg up on the retail guys, but for once, looks like retail's learning its lesson, buying the dip. Worked out fantastically for them. But yeah, they got shorter last week. So this is a new indicator I found to do this, which is great. But yeah, they bought just very little bit last week, and then they're now still short. Retail still long. Again, bought a whole bunch right here at the lows of the market and has just been selling a little bit. So good for them. Keep it up.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this was as insider sale and insider buy as you get here. The man himself said it. It's a great time to buy.
And why didn't the big guys listen?
Should have been illegal, but hey, crime is legal.
Crime's legal. Go nuts. It's
guys, just to say, the president shouldn't be saying these things.
Ideally not, but right, it's the
no
world.
President has said this before. Let's just say that much. But hey,
you have to.
The SEC doesn't do their job, so don't worry about it.
It's one of those play the ball as it lies, right? You've got to kind of figure it out and say, okay, well, if
you just got to go with it, guys. You just got to go with it. That's just the way it is, and sometimes you just got to go with it. Just got to go with it. If you fight it, then you miss the move. That's what happens, and that's just the way it is, man. And some of the times you're not going to agree that the market's going up higher, but it's not your job to agree. It's your job to make money.
Yeah, and the market could not care less about anyone's opinion, right? That's the fact that a lot of people think the
market doesn't know Trump's president.
No. It just knows companies are making money. Smart people are figuring out how to take money and make the rest of us
spend more money in the market, right? There's more money in the market. That's just the truth. Ain't slowing down anytime soon.
I think 6 trillion, in money market funds that has to at some point you would imagine move over.
Needs to get to work.
But yeah, because especially if I'm a high net worth investor and I'm looking at all of the news reports and saying, oh, retail bought the dip. I'm sure my hedge fund manager I'm paying a butt ton of money to also bought the dip.
Yeah.
And I give him a call and he's short. Holy smokes. That's it. That's the end.
Not the place to be.
No, you don't want that at all.
Man. Not the place to be. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit more about what's going on. Of course, the big, beautiful bill will be talked about. And it looked like we got another battle on Elon and Trump. Looks like Elon said, you know what, I'm back to just downing this big, beautiful bill. So now it's all about, of course, the Senate hurdle, right? It just cleared the key Senate hurdle. Now it's going to go to the House. So that's going to be the interesting one. Of course, they were trying to do this self-imposed House deadline before July 4th. We all know that's not going to happen. These guys love to just be in office and get paid, get some good hotel rooms, I guess, and sit sit in the house, right? I've been there. I've been to Washington D.C. I've seen how it works, man. They just hang out. So hey, get ready, guys. I don't think this is going to be solved by July 4th. I think this is going to get pushed throughout the weekend. And then we'll probably hear from it probably Monday or Tuesday next week. So,
yeah, and I was looking through the economic data for the week. It's a weird week for it, right? A lot of these like 2-star events, Chicago PMI, some Fed guys speaking, but a lot of them, right? And if there's only one, that seems fine. But if there's tons and tons of them, then sometimes that can kind of move us around a little bit. And then we have Jay Powell talking again tomorrow. As just stop,
Powell,
man.
Well, he ain't gonna say anything that he hasn't said, right? I mean, he's saying the same thing over and over. I think that's one thing that I think people need to just listen to. I mean, he hasn't changed, and he's not going to, right? Because the truth of the matter is the tariff situation and the inflation outlook isn't changing. So that needs to change first. So the inflation outlook of higher inflation coming down the line needs to adjust. If that doesn't adjust, the Fed's going to stay where they are. They're just going to stay put until that adjusts there. And of course, they are, if anything, still supporting the markets a little bit with the M2 money. If you take a look at that, but hey, we'll keep watching to see what happens out there. Definitely the market's going higher. Now it's how do we ride this opportunity and continue through the all-time highs? And where do we go looking here for trades, right? I think it's going to be a very slim pickings as we continue this all-time highs push.
Well, and you buy the all-time highs, right? So like Nvidia just made all-time highs. A lot of what my systems are doing from the swing side are just buying new all-time highs, and it's generally speaking the way to go, where you don't want to buy new lows. You don't want to do I can show you the studies, right? Buying the weakest stocks underperform, buying the strongest stocks do perform. And when you have all-time highs coming, you just want to buy the things that are getting close to that. So Nvidia, for example, if you're looking for a chip maker that crashed through all-time highs last week, nice looking candle. If you bought that, you're already up 3 days in a row. The only thing is, and this is kind of obvious to everybody, but we are up like 6 days in a row. At some point, we need just a little bit of rest, a little bit of a pullback.
Yeah.
Perfect world, I don't know if it'll happen, is but we retest those all-time high break, we hold there for a little bit, and then we bounce off. That is like the most healthy thing that could happen, is if you break a level, you come back to test it. And it doesn't have to do that, of course, but can do that nonetheless. But I'm going to be doing some cool stuff. I don't even know if I can tease them. I asked, you saw in the room, but we'll see what I'm allowed to tease. But if you see me quiet for a little bit, I'm working on some cool tech stuff that's coming out real soon. Real soon.
We'll see what happens with that. I'm looking at the House of Mouse. They got a rating upgrade. It's time to see if the House of Mouse can break a 3-year price channel or consolidation. It's not an easy break here, but I'm looking to see if it can get started. I feel like the analyst at least picked it up and said it's time. It's time. Let's see what happens, right?
I like Disney for the reason that, right, I'm still long the market, right? I'm long the market because everyone hates it and everyone's short. Everyone's complaining about these all-time highs. I like Disney for the same reason. Seems like everybody hates it, and generally speaking, that could be where it turns. And yeah, what a nice base here. So if it can get through that base, that's super interesting, right? I love always the saying of the bigger the base, the higher in space. Maybe.
And Jeffrey stepped up to the plate, right? They didn't just upgrade it to like overweight or something like that. They're putting the buy and raising the price target to 144. So decent, at least price target, right? And an upgrade to buy is kind of what you want to see, right? Those are going to be the better upgrades. we'll see. Can this really get things going? Definitely something to look at. I don't know if you guys watched that Formula One movie this weekend. That dominated the U.S. box office, and that could be why Warner Brothers actually makes a move today off of this. So we'll see what happens as we get that to start moving. That would be a move, but for Warner Brothers. So we'll see if that can get the lift above the 12 today. It's been pushing too. So I think that you're seeing a lot of these streaming stocks start to adjust. Netflix do all-time highs, right? And there's a reason why. I think you're starting to see the consumer sentiment start to change. I've talked about it with retail, but I'm going to call it with this too, because it's the same thing, right? We were starting to see a weaker consumer. So those stocks were almost held back. Now they can start to play catch up as lagging names that need to start getting going in a time where we're reaching all-time highs. So I'm looking at names like that, right? I'm looking at names in the streaming space. I'm looking at software names, media names. These could start getting a little bit of a lift. We'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, software makes perfect sense, in which it should be the beneficiary of AI, right? If that ever
but there's some
happen.
stocks that haven't gone, right? Like CRM, I think is a really good watch now for me, because it really hasn't made a move in 2024. It hasn't done anything, and it hasn't done anything really in 2025. Salesforce was down the whole time in 2025. So it's perfect time to go for those in the ditches, software names in the ditches. Start getting these going.
Yeah, that's
bad. A bad looking chart.
Yeah, not horrible. Again, for me, I want the strongest stuff. I want the stuff that the collective wisdom of the market has deemed that this is the strongest names out there. So just names closer to resistance points like Disney or something like that I'm a little bit more interested in, just because I think it's a lot easier for something at all-time highs. It doesn't have any, bag holders or people looking to sell to potentially move than, to stay in the chip space like Intel. Right? Every time Intel rallies, there's going to be someone out there who's super pumped to sell it. Tax said Palantir, that's a good one. Had a little bit of a dip on Friday, but just came in, just like we talked about, tag the all-time highs. If it can find a bit of a zone here and then start to push, then I like the look of that. But that's what I'm after, is find me stuff that's hasn't been left behind, that the market thinks is going to be the next leader. Just because you can run the math. Buying all-time highs is a pretty easy trade to make over the long run. It's below 50-50, but it still has even though it's not a great win rate, the amount of money you make on some of these is amazing, right? And just look at something like Nvidia, right? Say you missed all of this move here and you just bought the all-time highs like here, right, at 38 and rallied to 150, or say you even missed that and you bought the all-time highs right here, or say you missed that and you bought the all-time highs right here, right? It's just things that are momentum driven can for sure end up pushing those as well, right? So, and yeah, Tax talking about the rebalance. That's what we're talking about as well, right? You call it window dressing or rebalance or whatever it is, but the big guys are behind on this one, and they have to catch up.
Yeah. I just think at this point, for me personally, I think as we just broke all-time highs, I'm looking for names that to start getting going. And I think that I'll be looking for a little bit of some strong names to kind of go sideways up here and create consolidation. But that's not a bad thing. It's just more I'm looking for some movers, and I think that we're going to have some movers in software. But if you want to go looking at a name like that's hot, like Oracle, I definitely would be voting for more. That's still all-time highs, but I think in the right time, at the right space, and man, Oracle's hot. Another big jump this morning from 215 to 226. So 5% pre-market already in Oracle.
Yeah, and just another example there, right? This is the all-time high date right here. If you bought that, you're loving life. And this is a weird one if you look at all-time highs, because this was part of that whole .com bubble. So, right, if you bought it anywhere here on the way down, you had to wait years to get your money back. All-time highs, I think, came through in like 2017. it's crazy to see some of these. Microsoft, another one. It took like 16 years or something for it to get back to all-time highs after the dot-com bubble. And then you bought those all-time highs, and right, that's $60. And then pretty much mostly a straight line to 300. Just crazy move.
ARTL doing well in the penny stock game, but man, the spread was too big there for me to go after it. It looks great. It's even riding up right now towards the 17. Nice little flag pattern there, recovered off of the 14s. The problem is the spread's widening up as much as like 60 or 80 cents this morning. So to me, that's just way too wide. Like, it's just, there's just no point in going for it. But we'll see if we get to the open and maybe the liquidity tightens up. Right? That's what I'll be watching for. I can't trade it now to spread, but I'll be watching for it. We'll see what happens there. Mike, I told Steve on Friday that we are putting another FEMA FMCC trade, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, FNMA. This is Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae.
Freddie Mac, yeah.
It was one of those billionaire investors got this thing going, and this is
it was
Trump's thinking taking
Ackman.
these
Ackman.
Yeah,
this
Trump's
was a great trade.
Selling these again.
It was a great trade for a while. I think at this point you're late to the game, but I mean, hey, if you still want to continue riding the wave, ride that wave, right?
Yeah, and if if Ackman's going to end up doing the thing, which is, or not Ackman, Trump. For those who don't know, might be younger, don't know the story behind these, right? These kind of backed up all of the mortgages in 2008. And you can see the drop here from $80 to 20 cents. And it wasn't one of those, you see penny stocks and garbage companies do all the time and no one cares. But this is one of those, if this went under, kind of so did America, because they insured all of the mortgages out there, and obviously didn't have enough to hold that insurance. So the government just said, okay, well, we're going to buy you. So end up being an amazing trade for the government. Bought them right around 50 cents a share, kind of has been holding them and running them the whole time. And what Ackman's bet was, and what looks like Trump may actually do, is to flip them back out and say, okay, well, now that they're healthy companies again, do we want to own them, or do we want to make them publicly traded, like fully get them out of the U.S. kind of purview and have them just start running themselves again as more for-profit entities? So now that they're breaking out, that's one of those things that if so a lot of people are saying if they can end up going back, because right now it's conservatorship. So basically they got big daddy government looking over them, and generally speaking, that's not good for business. It's not what you want. So the idea is to remove the regulation, to have these things trade on their own. So if that ends up being the case, the question is, do they kind of get back, maybe not all the way up to where they were, but do they fill half of that? Right, they're at $9 now. The high was 92. Does it get to 20 or 30 or something like that? And you end up just owning these companies that were in this conservatorship and are now back out. Again, hell of a trade for the government. So go government, buy them at what I think it was like 50 cents, sell it at $10. I wish I could do trades like that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. Of course, the mortgage space is kind of slowing down. We'll see if there's anything that is coming ahead on that. Definitely starting to see rent prices go down. Houses stay on the market for longer. Things to be kind of looking at in the long run. That ARTL almost up there, right back towards $20. So within us talking, already moving about 23% on that ARTL. So big move in that one, guys. That might break 20 and keep going. That stock is up now 181%, 182 now. So big move there. We'll see what happens with these high flyers. We're definitely getting some today. And there's some other ones out there. We'll see if they start to play a little catch up as this one really takes off, almost up 200%. There it goes, breaking $20 towards 200%. So new all-time high on new high on that one, ARTL. That's a biotech, and it's ripping, guys. It is on fire.
And hopefully it gets back to 2,500 a share. That'd be great.
It'd make some people some money if it did that. That's for sure.
Yeah, nice 200. There's a couple of these crazy ones kind of on the move there. I saw like We Buy or whatever this is.
Yeah, we buy is up.
We Buy, and then yeah, NFE,
Mm-hmm.
New Fortress Energy. So yeah, a couple names on the move today. I think it will be interesting. Again, I'm just working on something. That's why I was working on all weekend. That's why I'm a little bit tired today. But when I get it going, I think you guys are going to be super impressed. It's gonna open up the doors to what Trade the Pool can do to a whole new audience of nerds like me.
We will see it, my friend. We will see it live right here. Stick
Soon
around, only on Trade the Pool, baby.
as soon as I get the go ahead.
Looking around out there, that ARTL got past 21 on that move, almost 22, 21.95. So is it hot? I think so, guys. I couldn't buy it there, man. It was just too spready. Like right there, it's like 77 cents, so like 77 ticks in between the spread. That's too much for me, man. But it's a big runner, that's for sure. All right, we can talk a little bit more about what's going on out there in the markets. Let me take a look to see if there's anything that I missed or didn't talk about here. Definitely Moderna is going to be an interesting one. mRNA, COVID, and flu vaccine getting the phase 3 data to come in there. We'll see how it reacts, right? Are you getting your flu COVID shot, Michael?
I didn't even know COVID was still a thing. So not. This thing has just they've got to figure out something, right? It was a flash in the pan, like a lot of, if you look at this chart and you compare it to Zoom, right, Peloton, a lot of these names, it kind of looks the exact same. So they've just got to figure out something. The technology is very interesting. Like I've talked to a couple buddies of mine that I know that work in biotech, and they're saying there's an insane amount you can do with the mRNA tech. They're talking about cancer vaccines and anti-aging things and all kinds of stuff, but you're not hearing anything from this company. If anything, you would hope that there was like a daily press release of this is the cool stuff that we're working on. Throw an AI buzzword in there and maybe the company stops going down. But yeah, they seem to kind of be sleeping on what could be the coolest amount of technology that I've seen in a long time, where they say this combined with AI is huge, right? You take something like AI and then you take something like this where you can program kind of the human body and pop it into them, right? Anti-aging, bigger muscles, whatever you want, seems possible. But yeah, the company, this is the difference between the story and just looking at the chart. So eventually, it's been stopped going down for a while anyway, since March. So maybe this is a little base to spring us off of. If you liked the company, at least you're buying a base, you know where your stop loss is, but you've got a place for it anyway.
Oh, do we have this stock? Oh man. We do, guys. Guys, I'm looking at one right now, guys, making a move. Tom Lee has been appointed chairman and board of directors of Bitcoin miner Bitmine, and he's calling it the next micro strategy of Ethereum. It's making a move right now, guys. I might actually open a position up this morning on this thing. This thing is BMNR, Bitmine Emergent Technology. It was at $5 earlier this morning. It's already to 14. This is going to be an interesting trade for sure today, guys. BMNR, Bitmine Emergent Technology. I think it's an OTC. That's the fun part. I saw pink when I brought it up.
Yeah, NYSE ARCA. So yeah.
Let's go. I'll be watching for this thing, man. It'll be interesting for sure towards the open here. The spread is massive, but it's holding on there. Of course, this is Tom Lee, and you guys know how Tom Lee works. So this is going to be interesting. It also announced a $250 million private placement to implement a buying strategy around Ether. So it aims to make a primary treasury reserve asset while continuing with its core Bitcoin mining business. So this one's going to be an interesting one, man.
Oh man, his ETF is killing it. I hadn't checked on his ETF for a while, but it got through all-time highs way before the SPY, and is smacking new highs. GRNY is his personal ETF there. If you want to, granny shots he calls them, which is just he thinks are the easiest shots to potentially take out there in the market. And
Let's
yeah,
see what he
what
has
a
in here.
it's,
Let's see what I got in Granny. I don't have much. They don't got the list.
I can just go into your holdings.
They don't have it easy, at least.
Robinhood, Oracle, AMD, Nvidia, GEV, GE, Netflix, Goldman Sachs, CrowdStrike,
Netflix.
Google, a lot of the big cap tech.
Yeah, but a lot of the ones making new highs, right?
Yeah, which is good. Good for him for picking them. Right, that's what you want.
Okay.
You don't want the ones not making new highs, right?
Man,
yeah,
this BMNR, it's tempting me here at 14. It's pushing strong here. I'm gonna look for a dip down at the gates on this thing, but it might just take off through 15 right here, and then it's gonna be hard to play. That's the hard part with something like this. I don't mind swing trading it because I can handle it here, right? But it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. How high it wants to go, we'll have to wait and find out, guys. I think it's definitely something to think about. Of course, we're at 9:28, guys. 2 minutes for the bell here. Get ready for the market open. It's coming faster than you know it. How are you approaching things towards the open today, Michael?
I am tinkering with a little robot that will trade some of the stuff for me, but some of the names I've just got on the go. That's why I'm very focused. It's what systematic trading's like. You focus till everything's running smoothly, and then you let them go. INMB, this one failed some sort of drug thing. Reminds me of, what was it, CMPS?
Compass.
That just absolutely cratered. But you can see it did a lot of that in the pre-market. Got a good trade on it on Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So watching that one for the same type of move, right? Is there just some covering going on in here through the VWAP? BBAI has been up a little bit, too much, I think, over just the last few days here. Just looking to see if we get a little bit of pullback there. Hewlett Packard, looks like I missed the trade. You can see the blue arrow that would have happened right here. Tesla, just looking to see if this one can bounce into the 2-day VWAP. This one's just kind of range bound, so it's an interesting trade to have there. HIMS as well. Looks like another miss on that guy, but that's what I'm watching right off the open. So we'll see what happens here with the SPY. Just watching, nice pre-market range here. So I'll just mark this up. Got to remove some stuff out of the way here. Mark these highs and then mark these lows, and we'll see what happens if we challenge either of these guys right here.
Market's open. Let's go after it. Traders, be safe out there. We'll see what happens out there. Going to be trading all around and seeing what we can come up with. Be safe out there.
Palantir has been pulling back, just bouncing a little bit there into yesterday's range after that nice little sell-off it had. So that's one to keep an eye on.
Trying to get 100 shares of this BMNR on the bid at around 13s. Come on, come down. Come down and get me.
BMNR.
I'll let you guys know if I get a fill. I'm down towards 12. Went to 13 there for a second. I almost got a fill, but then I just said, let me pull back a little bit just in case I get a little wash here. Out the gates, I'm seeing Hood doing pretty well here. I'm seeing IonQ take off. I'm seeing Archer take off. I'm seeing Rigetti pushing strong. So I've talked about IonQ. That looked really good. Tesla with a nice push. Hood pushing QBTS. A lot of the quantum names. RCAT pushing out the gates. APLD doing well. Clean Spark.
Whew.
So I'm watching a lot of the crypto. I'm seeing a lot of quantum names and some drone action right out the gates.
Yeah, Tesla is just ripping here right off the open.
In the way for a cut down below 12 now. It's pulling back a little bit fast at MNR. We'll see what happens. I like Mara and names like that.
Interesting. So yeah, HIMS triggered here in my brokerage account just as it broke through. Although I don't really like it too much because it's just a short scalp, so it's for kind of a 1-to-1 here, risk reward.
Pullback's happening a little bit there. VIX jumping fast here. Qs are extended a little bit though. That's what I'm watching a little bit. The Qs are the ones that I'm a little bit more worried about opening up straight down there on the Qs.
Yeah, the SPY was
not liking that action.
Yeah, it's flirting with this pre-market low that it's had there. And again, a big gap up. So it could come down, maybe test yesterday Friday's high, maybe inside of Friday's range. We do have some very minor numbers, right? Chicago PMI coming out in a few minutes. So let's see if this is kind of an undercut.
A little bit. That thing's all over the place, but it's moving.
Let's see if this is one of these undercut and rallies through here, or if this is one of those just kind of falls apart there.
What the hell? I think it's a crazy mover. I'm leaving it alone for now. It's moving too much for me.
Well, it's one of those, if you like, no one's heard of it until this news just came out. It might be just very, very low volume.
It's so crazy. It's wicked. It goes from like 14 or 13 straight up 15 in less than a second. It's a little wild for me. Archer at the VWAP, Rigetti, UMAC pulling back there. Tesla at the VWAP. If you believe Tesla is going to make a move back up, opportunity here. But it's all about the Qs. The VIX is jumping strong, though. I think they're not going to make it easy, right? It could just be a tough open here.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm watching closely here, the SPY, right? We've undercut this pre-market low. Is that just one of those, liquidity sweeps undercut and we rip back through? If so, then,
that's the hard part, right? That's the strategy.
But yeah, if it falls apart here.
RTTL is halted on the downside. Just to let you know, Roberto. Roberto asked. Roberto, where's the cash, guys? Where's the cash? I'm looking around. See an ION Q pull back a little bit there. Archer right on the support there, looking to see if that's going to go higher. But I'm trying to be a little patient here at the gates. I'm seeing a lot of some quick moves up, but with the market the way it is, I'm trying to hang in there. Market's looking tough right now. Upside communication services. Not something you see too often, but that tells me dividend search could be a pullback day. T-Mobile getting a little bit of a lift today.
T-Mobile. Jeez. I don't know when I heard this thing.
AT&T, Verizon. And so that tells me more and more. Right now, risk off.
Ooh, AT&T is looking real nice here. Is this daily pattern? Looks great.
Yeah, it looks what an uptrend to kind of do a small pullback here and then just continue chugging. I would love a 28.25. Wow.
AT&T up 112% off its lows. It's not something I would have thought. I guess they're doing the space stuff now. They're playing with the space stuff. That might be what a nice look there.
It's also one of the best dividends in the market.
Yeah, well, especially if you get both a dividend and capital appreciation with it ripping 100%, then that looks great. ASTS
can't do it yet.
Being mentioned. This is just an interesting kind of chop here. The fact that it's not pulling back after just this crazy move of like 20 days up in a row, and it's just consolidating here. I think that's very, very bullish for the name.
Momentous trying to make a little bit of a move. Of course, that's a space stock. I'm just watching. I think that had to involve with some Russell ads or something like that. That's why it was moved up in the morning, looking to see if it can continue.
all right.
Q's
So
kind of hanging on here.
trade.
That's why I'm trying to wait, trying to see if the Q's can hang on this 550 or they're going to flush it. It's like sideways now, 4 candles right on this 550.
So yeah, I'm battling the robots over here. So we'll see.
Yeah, you keep doing your thing, man. I'll keep trying to bring in the information. You guys, if you see a trade, let me know. RCAT trying to break 750 today. We'll see if it can get there.
ARTL.
A lot of sweeps right back down. So
Ooh.
I'm trying my best not to get caught in these sweeps.
ARTL saying in from 1550. Good trade, bud.
Yeah, the only problem with that one is on the halt right now. So just be careful. That's the hard part.
That's what I was gonna say. Is right. You're halted up now. That's good, but as we know,
MNR breaking towards 16 and going higher. So I had a feeling it would get bought. It's been such a hard trade to take. I'm gonna stay off of it, but it's doing really well. That thing could just keep going. We'll see what happens. Definitely could get the mining stocks to go higher. Another thing is we've been seeing more of these miners make adjustments. So keep looking for that, right? I think you're going to start seeing more and more miner talk. I am just staying off the sideline right now because the Qs are scaring me. Let them recover the open, and then I can start worrying about this.
This INMB that I was talking about earlier look like it could trigger here. It's got about a minute left to go. Just so you guys know what I'm doing. We talked about this for a long time. It's been promised since before I started here. When I was talking, is the ability to auto trade or systematically trade. Looks like we're getting close. I'm being the guinea pig, so I'm kind of writing things on the fly. So that's why I'm a bit tongue tied because a rejection comes through. I go, okay, well, and something we'll talk about more when the market slows down because I'm just going to the AI and I'm saying, this is the error I'm getting. Fix my code, and so far so good. Hasn't sent a trade through yet, but as soon as it does, I'll take a screenshot and send this because I think it'll be a pretty monumental moment here.
All right, we'll look for that liquidity move in that BMNR. Yeah, so my thing is look for the liquidity move in that. Look for something that tries to stop out everybody, then I can jump in. IPDN, another one that I'm keeping an eye out in the small caps.
About 1 share of ARTL. I love that. I'm not joking. I really do. Like, if you want to trade something, you can trade whatever you want as long as you're trading it small enough that you're comfortable. If you buy 1 share, this thing's moving around $2-3 at a clip. You can make $50. It could happen. It
definitely could.
Not likely, but we talked about that before when we had Newsmax and Webull and all of these things that went up to $100, $200, $300 completely unnecessarily. We're like, what if we shorted like 5 shares? And they collapsed all the way hundreds of dollars back down. So you could have made $500, $1,000 trading 5 shares. So yeah, I love it. I always say you can trade whatever you want as long as you have an exit plan for it. So yeah, good work.
All right, watching Momentous right now, looking to see if that can get above the VWAP. It's just that on these trades, the VWAP starts above them and it's way above them, and I don't like that look. I normally am trying to see where these stocks are right next to the VWAP versus being a little bit away from it. And it's only a couple cents, but I don't like it on Momentous and APDN, those 2 small names.
So the SPY undercut that pre-market low. It's trying to get back up through VWAP. If it does, I think I'm going to take a manual buy here with a stop at the low of the day. Just we've seen this. I just want to start playing this setup that we've been talking about for a while. See if I can, again, systematize it of the undercut of the pre-market. You buy it back through VWAP, your stops at that low. Maybe an all-day hold. Although the SPY daily chart does have me a bit worried just because we need a pullback day at some point here. Like, this is just craziness.
Yeah, and it's going to, when the day comes, it's going to be ugly, right? It's going to be an ugly turn, I think, at least for the quick trade, right? It needs to wash some traders. I'm watching this 550s right now on the Qs to see if we go right back down and break it.
Yeah,
if we break it, then I'll trade to the downside here.
If we break VWAP to the upside, great. And then if not, if we fail here at VWAP, then yeah, we got to just
Yeah, I'm
move
I'm
on
just
to the
being a
next
little
idea.
careful with the way that the cues are. There's other sectors that are still doing well, like healthcare is trying to get green, and so is financials. Financials have been doing really well, but also extended a little bit. Could pull back a little bit. I'm looking at global banks pulling back, has a flag pattern right now overall, so that's not a bad look. You'd take a look to see what stocks are kind of recovering there, doing that support move that we talk about, and then maybe trying to reclaim. JPM is one of those where it just went rip out the gates, pulled back right back below the open. Let's see if it gets back above VWAP. But looking around out there, yes, BMNR is one that we're looking at. At least
Yep.
I am. I needed to cut the support quickly and wash some traders. Then I'll look for it. That's a cut down through 13, washing towards like maybe 12, and then right back up to 16. That would be the play for me, just to describe it.
Yeah,
Qs,
nice,
holding, man,
nice
holding.
simple. Yeah, they're not. I've been watching this, right? You can
It's
see every
holding,
2 minute
right?
candle. It's just battling around the zone. Now we've got like I doubt they're waiting for Chicago PMI in 2 minutes, but that's happening. It's a 2-star event, which means could move the market a couple ticks, but nothing amazing. And then we got some Fed guys
Ion
yapping,
Q
but it's not the
recovering. That
important
doesn't look
one.
too
So
bad. Ion Q recovering. I might go over Rigetti because I missed the Ion Q recovery, so I might just ride a Rigetti move here. It's been trying to make it back through the trend line, keeps failing around the 1150s. Okay, I can risk off the 1122s here on Rigetti, so I'm going to let it try to attempt the 1122s here and then bounce. I'll show you guys that right now.
yeah, we have rejected off
Rigetti.
VWAP there a little bit, so just be careful.
Yeah, I see the Qs just wipe out there. That's the hard part. The Qs just wiped out, broke that 550s. Now we're starting to make the move here on the VXX. I'm actually going to take some on the VXX on this, try to scalp it. Seeing it come back a little bit. Would like to see this drop a tiny bit, and then I can scalp into it below the 48s. There you go, below the 48s, getting this 4790s look. See if the Qs go a little lower here, giving it a chance to bounce back, and then it should flush if it's going to really come down here.
Yeah, we'll see if the SPY is flirting with its lows. If it can dig in, hold here, and start to push a little higher, that's the look.
It's a hard trade right here, guys. It's a little bit choppy area on different actions, right? So like I'm also liking this VXX look on this pullback down towards the VWAP, and then it takes off through the 48s here. But it's more about what's the market going to do here. Is it going to use it as a double bottom look, which is trying to do right now? That's why I'm trying to be patient. Or is it going to flush it? I'm just trying to be patient here. I haven't even taken one trade. It's 9:45. We can be patient. There's no need to rush into the move. Let's be calm. Let's make sure that we're knowing what we're seeing versus trying to react too fast.
So that number just came out. It was lower than expected. I don't know what that means, but it could just be, right, like we talk about all the time, even these insignificant numbers, someone, and myself included, who programs bots will just have a little thing say, hey, if there's a number, just wait, take your trades after it. So sometimes even if the numbers don't move the market, it can be no trend and then the number and then the trends start kind of after that. So that's out of the way. We got Bolsick speed, and I don't think he's important. So could be clear to make a move in some direction. I'm still waiting for that same setup. Just give me a push through VWAP to take a trade.
Yeah, and don't worry, we're keeping an eye on that BMNR. I know you might be in it. We're watching it. I'll let you guys know. Where I go for that thing.
Well, that's the thing, is you don't just trade something because it has a catalyst. You wait for the price action to give you some sort of
nice
low
setup.
risk entry setup.
This
right?
This looks like an interesting setup. Look at Archer, caught the dip there. So UMAC might catch the dip and go right back up. That looks interesting there. Market's kind of hanging in here. This is the hard part. Do you go for the moves to the upside or the downside? You see how they're both set up there. You have different setups.
Yeah, and while the market's basing, like we talk about all the time, this is a good time to, make plans. If
Yeah,
you're a
man, this is
systems
where it's
guy like
hard.
me, right? Look at your
It's hard
bots,
with the SPY.
set your levels, set alerts, do all that kind of stuff, but don't overtrade, because unless you want to take a guess if we're going to break down or break out, which you're kind of taking a
Yeah.
50-50 guess, then you just kind of wait, right?
All right, guys. I think there's I'm seeing the SPY head down to the lows. It would be a triple bottom. So I'm gonna not call it triple bottom. I'm actually call it breaking the bottom here, going to 616. I'm gonna keep it really tight. I'm only gonna risk about $45 on this. This is a day trade style trade here. We'll see what happens. I'd cross the 86, 47, 86 on the downside break. We'll see what happens. VXX long there. Let's go. Let's get it. There's the break on that BMNR. Now I'm getting that flush down. I need to get an entry near 12 or 11, and I'm willing to do that with like 50 shares each. So let's see what happens. That's on the swing trade idea. So it'd be closer down towards 12 and then 11 with an add. So somewhere between 1150 I would be if I got filled on these, right? So I'm putting it out there. Now I'm getting that liquidity move on BMNR. Could wait for it to rebound through 13, but I'm actually just looking to get like a quick bid buy, and then the offer just quickly throws it back up, right back up. Now getting a nice little move here in the VXX up about $40, looking for the rip higher. At this point, can be ready to get out, break even if I need to. I really wouldn't want to even see it back by 47.90s here. There's a move back towards 48.05. Let's let it. I'm looking for the rip above this 48s to 48.30s, and that would be a nice trade within itself. I'm not looking for a crazy rip on this. I just wanted to break the low, and then we'll look to see if the SPY recovers. Right now, it's sitting right on that low. That's 616.28.
So we are still testing,
Momentum
still
coming
fighting
in.
the bots.
Break even already set here. Looking for the push into the 48.30s, and then we'll take the money and run. Let's go. Let's go. Get a nice little break here. I already have break even on, so it doesn't matter. Now I'm just letting it try to work here and go for the rip, right? If it goes for the rip, I make the cash. If it doesn't, I get out. There's the rip towards 48.14s, looking better now. I'm up about 77. I'm looking for a rip towards like 48.30s, and then I can take some of the money off or just take the whole money off and run. There's the liquidity move right back in BMNR. It went below the 13, but it didn't fill me. It got close. 1232s, it's right back to 1450. I missed that little dip. Now it's getting rebought, and now I think it's ready to go and slingshot, but I'm not going to step up here. 13 would be the only way I can get in. So I always try to stay patient, guys. I don't try to overextend myself. If I do, that's easy ways to get wrecked. Especially on a name like BMNR, where the spread is 75 cents in the intraday.
Oh, we're getting somewhere here. We're getting somewhere. I'll talk about when
SPY
the
is trying to
market
break.
dies down,
The SPY is trying to break the 616 here. Will it break it? It wicked to it, and it stopped right on it. 615.96. Will it break further?
Yeah, the Qs are actually a little bit worse today, showing some relative weakness there. Already kind of inside yesterday's range, where the SPY is doing okay, holding above. Just taking a look at the overall market here. Funny enough, we have IWM still doing well, doing okay, which is not usual.
All right, breaking down a little bit there. I'm looking for the extension here, and then I'm going to cash into that extension. Then I'll look for another trade here. Let's see if we can get it here. Order's going to go out to take the profits into this move. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get a little break here. 616 kind of holding on here on the SPY. How's the Qs looking there? I'll take a peek there.
Qs a little relatively weak.
Agree,
yeah.
my friend. A little weaker than the other ones, right?
Well, it's because we got a lot of these banks, right? So banks are amazing. Goldman Sachs up 2.5%, Wells Fargo up over %. We have Robinhood up 5% on the day. So that's really what's holding us up here on the SPY. Is there some sort of stress test or something on the banks, and they all pass with flying colors? So
yeah, stress test doesn't matter anymore in a Trump environment when you got the Frank Dodd regulation and all those regulations pulled off. So I wouldn't stress about stress tests in Trump environment.
Yeah, well, now that they're done, everything popped up a couple percent. So, it's like
It's just about the bottoming here. I think it's going to be more if you can get back above levels here. We'll find out.
well, that's what I'm looking at. So with the SPY that's what I'm targeting if I'm going to potentially go to the long side, as opposed to what I was looking at on, if I was going to go short, I'd probably look at the Qs because we are getting such a massive outperformance in the S&P 500, which isn't normal. But again, we do have this bank thing, so the relative strength is there.
BMMR is definitely drawing my attention, but I'm leaving off of it. There's IonQ still holding 42. I've talked about how that's an important level. If you're looking for upside, I still think this IonQ, it's starting to get strong. Push the 42s. Will be interesting if the Qs just drive here. Does this stock really get going?
All right. So fourth time is the charm. Hopefully we'll set up this spot, but we'll see.
Tesla not hanging on. I will say that.
Yeah, no, Tesla's been looking really weak.
Rigetti right off of this looking interesting also. So like it's more of the Qs come back. I think Rigetti can get right back to the 1150s. It's a nice risk to return. It could be a risk about, let's say, even 6 to 8 cents for a potential 30, 40 cent move up. We'll see what happens there. ARTL halted again. What a move. What a move. Hey, go get it, my friend. Go get it. Sometimes you guys are going to make a cash move that we can't get. We ain't going to be mad at you. Go get it.
Yep.
And sometimes we're going to miss it. And that's just the name of the game.
Yeah. The SPY is trying. It's flirting back with that pre-market low and VWAP for a while here. So let's see if it's going to rally through.
I'm like just trying to stay here. I'm still in the break-even stop, but I'm just trying to give it the chance to, since I already took the play, right?
All right, boys, we did it. We did it, boys. We had our first fully automatic trade put through. So as soon as you saw, you guys aren't the alert that came through there. So yeah, this alert. This one on TSLL, again, just playing with these small, but you can see the green arrow alert. That was pushed not only to my personal brokerage account, but again, for the first time. This is something that will be soon to users. We're just playing with it here internally. So I thought I would share with you guys, my 150 closest friends, that we're getting really close there. So now I've just got to monitor the exit, right? The profit target, stop losses, all that kind of stuff. But good here. Really, really cool. I'm super excited because again, this is how I trade, right? I don't trade by looking to hit the buttons to enter and exit. I build the strategies. I kind of keep my eye on the markets, and then let them trade throughout. So this Tesla trade, it's again just supposed to be targeting the 2-day VWAP. I don't see a profit target in the system automatically, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. But this is just part of it, right? So you saw all morning me kind of going back and forth trying to trade. And debug the system. And now that I've gotten the first trade through, now it's debugging the rest. Does it take profit targets correctly? Stop losses? Is it sizing? Because I have built in the script itself. I want a constant risk amount. I'm starting with $50 per trade. And then as I get more cushion on the account, as the account grows, that will go from there. So no more. I'm hoping I open up a fresh account for this. It'll be really cool to have probably the first eval pass without any human intervention at all, but we'll see. So if the TSL gets to this 2-day VWAP, it should sell the trade, and we'll see from there. So I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, it's really, really cool. I saw the alert go through and then heard that ping. That's
all right, guys.
Really
we're
cool.
Setting up here. Qs are coming back, and the BMMR is setting up here. It says, do I want to take it now or wait for another trade here? The spread just gets me every time when I see it spread out by 79 cents. I just it's just hard.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go to liquidity's not for an intraday trade. Now, if you're someone who's like, oh, I think this is big move, I'm going to swing. I am way less concerned about liquidity when it comes to swing trades, right? If you're looking to buy this thing and then sell it like $50, you don't care that you're paying up 50 cents on the spread. if you are day trading it, that the spread is very, very important, right? Because there's nothing worse than being potentially right about a trade and then losing money because the liquidity was just not there for you to get in and out at the prices that you need.
All right, it's going to be interesting here. I think there's some trades that are definitely available to you out there, so get after it, traders. There's UMAC. Remember, I talked about UMAC setup off of that 820 look back towards 875. It's starting to make the move, looking good. Of course, with RCAT, RCAT was doing well. We'll see if that takes 750s and keeps pushing. Yeah, the drone names looking pretty decent here. Archer pushing strong too. You could see some other drone names start to make a move. What was that other one? Was it Surf Up or whatever?
Yes, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, there it is. It's doing well. SRFM doing decent right now, up there to the 350, 360.
Surf Air Mobility. That's a cool
SRFM. Name. Surf Air. There's the Q's going a little lower, so still hanging in there. It still could wash here. Let's see what happens.
Yes, UMAC, I say the daily chart definitely looks the best on this UMAC. Just nice little breakout of this huge base for days, and then just holding above that range. It's a good looking daily chart, right? If it wants to try to take another shot at the 20s, that'd be a huge move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stay away, man. On that BMNR, I tried, guys. I didn't get in, but I was like looking at it. I was itching, and then the spread went wider than I've ever seen it. It went 80 cents on me, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. No. You're dead to me. You're dead to me.
Yeah, you would. The tiny risk that you'd have to take, right? You always got to look at it. So what we're talking about with the spread is it degrades the risk reward, right? If you're trying to buy it here and then sell it here, if you're going to pay more on the way in, you're going to pay more on the way out, then it degrades your risk reward profile, and that's what it's all about, right? Again, for day trades, for swing trades, if you wanted to buy this thing and then sell it on the way up, like if you're holding it for weeks or months because you think this news will be that impactful, that's just a different story altogether. So.
Yeah, RGTI not looking too bad here as it starts to push off the VWAP here, and now starting to get going off that 1125. Will we get some of these quantum names to take off? IonQ leading the party. Talked about that name on Thursday and how it could get going. It's moving now. It broke 42. It's starting to get to the 43s and now can make a move to 45. So I think that could get some other of these quantum names getting started. I'd keep an eye out later in the day to see what happens on QUBTS. It's in a huge flag candle off of that 14, recovering 14 later in the day could be great for that stock. I'm staying in my trade right now because it's just holding on, but I'm seeing Rigetti getting stronger. I'm seeing some names out there definitely trading. Be careful out there, traders. We'll see if this Q's move can hold now the 550s, but we are starting to get some names to start to make the move. So Rigetti, definitely a nice little move off that. Starting to move higher. We'll see what happens on UMAC. Hood doing well. Let's take a look at what's leading the day. IonQ and Hood. UMAC right behind that. Archer. Bull back above 11. We'll take a look to see what happens on that one. CrowdStrike and Zscaler did a huge undercut to 300, already back to 310, showing you the strength there in Zscaler. MSTR still holding on there, looking to see if BitO can make a move today, or maybe even Ethereum, right? If Tom Lee's getting that Ethereum push, does it maybe just help Ethereum versus just playing BMMR? This is a different way of playing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens out there, guys. Still got my position on, guys, on the VIX. Even though the Qs are coming back, it's not coming back as fast. So that's what's keeping me in it. We'll see what happens. I'm at least break even on this. We'll get out if I need to. And if not, just let it work. Let it work. Let it keep doing its thing. We'll see what happens. Market's starting to make a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, big move there on Kava. That's for
Shop
sure.
alert. Shop was one I traded on Friday. Did really well on this. Looking for it to recover with Amazon. Amazon's the one that was kind of leading my move in this. Look at Rigetti right back to the highs there. So the trade was there the whole time. I didn't take it. I was a little bit worried about the Qs, but look at that setup there. right there. You could be selling into this kind of move. This is now creating a cup and handle look, but that was a nice look there in Rigetti. And how you trade this? Off IonQ. The strength, right? The leader leading the party and then getting the push. SoFi, definitely on the alert out there, guys. I've been talking about SoFi. It was on my playbook last week. Look at the takeoff there. Good look there. Definitely pushing strong and continuing. What are you seeing? A higher low trend, right? It doesn't break the higher low. And so as long as that trend continues, this is not a bad one to watch. I'd be looking for pullbacks now back to 18 to maybe play on SoFi here towards the VWAP, but it's not a bad one to watch.
Yeah, SoFi is one of those kind of underappreciated, I guess, names for a while, where it's just been bit of a dog compared to the rest of the market. But recently, over the last little bit,
get hot. Why? Because financials started to get focused, and so people start looking for growth stories in the financials. You're getting it there in SoFi. I talked about XYZ. I still want to keep an eye on that. I think we're going to get more and more action to this. And it's starting to look a lot better as it break the 67s today and broke resistance, starting to make a move back up. How's my Salesforce doing? That's not a bad looking trade. Holding right now 275, trying to make the move towards 277. It's going to be more about the overall market. And if you want to take swings, there's some setups out there. Shane, how we doing, man? Door's always open to you if you want to come on sometime. And later today, we'll actually have a guest on joining us. Andrew Moss is going to be back on. CMT talking about some stock action. So, yeah, I'll let you guys nerd out. You guys can nerd out, Michael.
I had a big chat with Andy just a couple days about AI and systems trading and all that kind of stuff. So I'm converting him as well into the fold.
FSS starting to get higher. That could help that JP Morgan trade that we talked about, how it came back to support. Now it could take off. Bank of America just claiming the VWAP City right there. I'm still in this VXX trade. For some reason, the VXX is still going up with the Qs going up. So we'll see what happens here. What's up with Circle? He's still taking that shot? Oof. It's a hard one here. It's trying to reclaim that support right now. Has a crazy risk to return here in Circle. All right? I mean, there's a nice risk to return right now off that 181 mark back towards 192. I kind of don't mind it there. The only thing is you got to understand you're risking about $2, right? So
yeah,
it's not a bad looking name.
Like we talked about, the dollar amount that you're risking doesn't really matter, right? You just adjust the share size. Unless $2 is too much of a risk at one share, right? It's just your risk reward. Does that make sense? Is it right? Because you can size from one share to 1 million if you want. So that's just, it's an interesting, nice little pullback on Circle. I've got an anchored VWAP from the IPO date, and it's right there right now. So
yeah, it's right there.
It's the average market participant, if you've been buying the whole way up, is sitting around 182. This anchored VWAP's been big for this one going forward, or at least so far. So that's an interesting way to play these. I know my buddy Brian Shannon always does it, where he looks for. I can grab this back here. Like, you look at this. If you traded this anchored VWAP on Circle, right? You had a nice little long right there, another one right here, and now you're setting up kind of the same thing. Question is, does it hold? Right? It held these last two times and made for really great trades, but does it hold this time?
Big spiking there. Big spiking there, guys. I'm going to probably take a little bit of a shot here because I think some people are caught off guard with this VIX spike.
VX, VIX, VIX.
All right, risking about $65 on this trade. Looking for it to start moving here.
VIX 17. Wow. I kind of missed the VIX 50, 60 days where things were really moving. Now back into the teens. Not as fun.
Not as fun at all. Not as fun at all, guys. Now I got about 800 shares here, so definitely taking a shot here. Let's see what happens. Circles still came back there. It was kind of an interesting setup if you wanted to get in on that 182 pullback there. I didn't take the shot because I didn't trust the way the market's setting up right now. But Circle looking good, back to 184. So it was the setup's there. It's just more, do you want to take it, right? I talked about the setup, and I even had a 182.50 limit ready to go. Could have got the fill. I just didn't take the trade. Setup's looking good above the 185 now to run to the 192. If it gets back up there, that's great risk to return, right? That's what it's always about.
That's all it's about, right? If you've got any sort of setup at all, if you can't really change anything about the win rate of it, but if you can change the risk reward and crank that up a little bit, it turns bad setups to okay setups and okay setups to great setups just by changing that little profile. So yeah, this one's an interesting one. It's at the end of this 2 minutes. It's going to print a little green arrow right there too. I don't have it on the list, but it could be one to watch. BMRN, this thing. Yeah, it looks like it might be going now. Spread is not crazy right now, but
I'm telling you, I've been watching it. It's just the spread widens out way too much for me, man. And that 13 cut, I've talked about 13. That's the area that I think is the buy area. I've talked about it how many times, right? And you did get that undercut through the 13 that went to 12.8, like 12.38. So I had an order out when that happened at 12. I just never got the fill. That's life, right? I mean, you just keep going. But was this a nice setup? I talked about it. It was a good looking stock, and you did have the right catalyst for it. It was a great trade to go after, guys. If you guys nailed that, hey, shout out to you. We'll see what happens. Definitely still had the setup there. Just didn't take the shot.
yeah, it's sometimes you have to just be okay with that and say, okay, I saw the spread go nuts. So right now it's sitting around 10 to 20 cents. So it's not the worst in the world, but you're watching it and you see that spread really widen. You just have to be okay with the fact that if you are going to trade it, it's like, hey, it could do this while I'm in it, right? That's not what I want to see happen, right?
So you see, like right here was the area that kind of when it cut to 13, and I even saw it right here around this 13, and that's when I told you guys that the spread widened out by 80 cents right here. Right when I was going to go and say, all right, well, just go for it, Mitch. But when I see a spread widen up at 80 cents, the moment I'm going to get in the trade, I'm down 80 cents because I'm going to buy it on the offer. Not the way to trade, guys. Not the way to trade. I would have to go so low size that this doesn't work for me if it goes to 16, right? Like even if it does go to 16, it's just pointless almost.
Well, yeah, it degrades your risk reward. So it just means you have to go, you have to understand
1-to-1 or maybe a negative risk to return, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's
no bueno
unfortunate,
in my book,
right? Unless you've really tested it, but that's and especially for a move like this, right? Something that the whole point of this thing is you're looking for a quick and crazy move. If you're playing these guys, right, they better work out pretty quick for you, and they better, you're looking for a lot of outsized type gains.
That's just the way it goes, guys.
So as I continue to play with the bot, we found something else interesting. It will add 2 positions.
And just for the transparency, because my man was like, you get the fills all the time. There it is. There's the order that didn't get filled, the cancel. You see it? I always will show you guys. I had it out there. It just never got filled, right? The time and date's right there. It says limit order canceled, BMR 50, price 12. I tried, guys. It just didn't go for it. Missed it by 38 cents. So the bid was there.
Sounds like a lot until you realize 38 cents on this guy is almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So I was close to getting filled, just didn't get it. Circle looking good now that it's recovered the VWAP. You see, it's holding the light blue line. So there was a trade there too. Let's see if Bitcoin can make the move now. Probably going to get stopped out of my trade. That's more than fine, guys. I gave myself the shot there to take a huge trade. Was up about 99. I'm out there. Break even. That's the way I like to trade. Set up there. If the Qs break down there, I'm making like $300 to $400, maybe even a little bit more. So I am cool with that. That shows strength coming back to the market. Now the market's starting to get stronger. Now I can start taking a look to see tech names play a little catch up. There's that
Feels like
BMNR breaking the highs. So there you finally got the highs there.
you ever driven in a self-driving car before, Mitch?
No, I have not.
Fully?
Only
This
the only self-driving car I have like lane assist on mine, which works decently. Not the best either. It doesn't even keep me really centered.
yeah. But I'm just like this, the first time you launch a bot like this, that's kind of what it feels like when
Oh yeah,
you're giving the reins over and you're just watching it and you're trying not to step in, but
that's the hard
uh,
part, right? The
yeah,
controlling part, the controlling factors, right? ARTL
yeah.
opened up, and I think it's on the downside halt, looking like it's about to halt on the downside. I'm about to take a shot there. I shorted it there. Let's go. Let's go. Up about 78 here on that. I'm going to actually put a stop break even there. Oh, it came back and got me, those little suckers. You guys saw it there. I'm just going to try to get a little bit closer up here, and I'm willing to short it again. I just need it to pop back a little bit more. Oh, the spread, man. The spread is getting a little wide there. There's 19 again. Oh, I just jumped down a little bit way too. The market fill was bad there, guys. I got a bad market fill there. Now I got to protect myself. Bad fill there. I was seeing the 19 there. I saw the 19. It dropped really quickly here, so I got to protect myself here. That was such a bad fill there. That's on me though, because I went after it, right? I saw 19 and I hesitated for a millisecond there. 19 difference here, and it's completely a different entry. So now I'm just managing it here. I might have to take the hit, guys, because it's an error on me. I'm watching it right now. It's rejecting the 19s. Just needs to get right back down through it. I don't think it's going to do it. It's going to squeeze me out here. It's coming back there. I'm trying to get out here. Out. Took the hit, guys. That was as annoying as it gets because I had that thing pegged. That was just a bad entry on the market fill. If I get that market fill entry, I still am putting the break even stop immediately. So had a shot there. Didn't get it. RTL back up to 21. We'll see if it gets back up there. Now it's starting to squeeze a little bit there. Could go. And it was like, I don't know how it didn't halt there. It's a 10% move. It's a 13% move. I don't know how it didn't halt there. It was like this close to getting halted. This close. I saw the tape stop, but I don't know what happened there, man. Hey, tough one indeed. Definitely took a little bit of a loss there. Didn't want to take that loss, of course, right? I mean, I had to take the hit there. It was just a horrible fill there for me. 818. I should have got 19 on that fill. Would have been the difference between a loss of like 100, 150 versus 258, which is really way too big on this account. But hey, that's just how it goes. It was a good looking trade and a good looking spot that I just botched it because the bid dropped on me really fast there.
You take your shot. You know, when you're trading that volatile stuff, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's my fault for the market entry, but I saw the 19 there. That's what it was. And I have a feeling right now you're going to get that down hole and it's just going to be done, but I can't even come back after it now. Just ruined my day as I was doing pretty well being balanced. I just went after that position there and I was up there and I went on the break even. Glad at least I got out on that first one break even. But man, it was looking good there. For the move. Now I feel like it's going to break down. And right here is when I tried to short it last time, 19. You see I dropped from that 19 to 1854 there on the bid really quickly. Mm-hmm. In between that 1 second, it was a difference between getting a 19 entry or an 1818 entry, which is what I got. So that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, and that's right. It's one of those, the volatility is a double-edged sword, right? It can make you real quick money, or it can slice you up.
That one's a tough one indeed, guys. Q's still not going anywhere, guys. We're not going anywhere in the market today. Maybe
No,
that's just making me feel bearish, but I think this is going to be a flush type of day.
Yeah, we need a little bit of a pullback, right? We can go all the way to 613 on the SPY just to tap those all-time highs, see if there's bidders there. I would imagine there would, because there's so many people who missed the boat. We talked about the positioning this morning. Took a look at it. They're still short, and they're still kind of aggressively short. So any sort of down move, I think, is going to quickly be met with buyers because they got to cover, right? They've got to cover at some point. So
SoFi hanging on there. We'll see if it goes. There's the leak coming right back into Qs. Come on, Qs.
Yeah, just stuck to VWAP like a magnet. Like, just can't shake it to the upside, can't shake it to the downside. Just it feels like a big number's coming, but there's not. Right? We've got another Dallas Fed, whatever, Dallas manufacturing thing. It's not a big deal coming up soon, and then we'll see maybe some move after that, or it could be one of those that we've made the move in the pre-market. Right? Had wicked gap up this morning, and maybe that's it. Right?
We'll see what happens, guys. Took the trade right back into the VIX there. It held the 48, held essentially my first entry, right? My first entry was 47.95. We went right back down, right off of that, bounced right off of that, right back through the 48. So I'm looking to see if the market's going to drop right now and maybe at least get my money back on the day. It's going to be frustrating to get a little green after this, because shouldn't have even took that trade in the first place.
Beauty
Did you expect the market to rebound this much since Liberation Day? I don't think anybody did. And if they did, they're lying. That's the truth, especially after Liberation Day. But once you got that Trump push, right? Remember when the Trump push came out? It was in the middle of the day, out of nowhere, tariffs were off. That was the sign. That's the one I think you can buy. Because buying before that, you're definitely buying the knife. And you're just like blindly buying. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're still blindly buying, which increases risk. But once Trump gave you that Trump put, I think you can use those lows. Now you have a risk spot. Now you're not catching the knife. You know where you're risking, and you're giving the ability because Trump came out and pretty much told you to buy. Literally, I showed you the tweet, right?
Yeah.
He literally told you to buy. He literally said buy here. So at that point, I felt like, yeah, you could call that new all-time highs were going. And there was some guys that called it at that point, right? I think that's what makes sense. Of course, you needed to buy the dip after that. You didn't need to buy the rip, because we all know how markets came back and then started to go higher. So that's a learning lesson there, right? So you write these down. Big market event, big drop, wait for the first big action up, and then try to catch that dip, right? That's what I would be writing down in my journal.
Yeah, and right, for my takeaway for the whole thing, I did a whole big video on my channel too about doing a bear market retrospective.
You go. We should take when you get a chance, Michael, try to find that, and so we can at least put up the link for it.
Yeah, and the kind of synopsis of it was, thankfully, I have systems. So I would have probably done, looking back, would have done a little bit less of even looking at the news, even though I don't look at the news nearly as much as most people. And that'd be about it. That'd be kind of the only thing that I'd look to change, because like you saw, the news didn't serve you. It like always, and this happens every single time. The news, well, you got to remember, the news is a vehicle to scare you and to make money off scaring you. So it's always going to be negative.
Stepping up here.
Yeah. And so again, the only thing I'd look back and say, yeah, I probably should have done a better job, even more than I did, of just turning it off, just saying this. Never met a rich trader in my life who's like, oh, I just look at the news and then I do what they say. So
yeah, you got to go with what works for you. SoFi is still hot, guys. That's one of the hot stocks in the market. I would definitely say keep your eyes on that. Seeing the Qs pull back a little bit, back below that 550 here, looking to see if we start to come down here. Start to come down. Looking really good for me as I start to bounce back here. And of course, if I wasn't, down 250, I'd probably take some cash right here, as I did add there. I'm up about 130. Probably take half off here and just let the rest of it work. Looking for one more rip to kind of sell half of it and then let it keep going. We'll see what happens here. The VIX wants to spike.
Yeah, the SPY is trying to break down under these levels right here, so we got to keep an eye on that. Seeing some things drop. Tesla is just still not. Just monitoring my trade here. It didn't look like it. Probably should have stopped out, but it didn't. So I got to keep an eye on that as well.
All right, we'll see if this breaks to 616 on the SPY. Keeps going lower, back above 617 is where you start to squeeze anybody that's shorted like I did, right? So you got to know the areas also on the squeezing levels too. So
yeah, if we just go right back to VWAP, it's like, holy smokes, we're just stuck to it. we won't leave VWAP today.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stocks just like kind of hanging out. They're not really making the big up moves that we've been seeing. IonQ is probably your best looking stock in the market right now, up 4%, at least on my watch list. I'm looking around to see what else is kind of big. UMAC, but that's a small stock, so the 5% doesn't really tell you how it's really moving, right? Hood, probably one of your best moves out there that's continuing strong and staying strong, right? You can see it up there holding above VWAP. So we'll look to see if that one can continue going. What's up with Apple? What happened to the China deal? Dude, I swear this guy makes up stuff.
They I was when I was on Trader TV, I was in the green room, they were talking. They released a discount MacBook or something. The market didn't like that.
Discount MacBook.
But like, isn't the whole point of, well, generally with Apple is they make high quality stuff, but you pay with the nose with them, I guess.
All right, traders, we'll see what happens here. IPDN looks good. Look for a short under 4. All right, not a bad mention there by my man himself, Shane. IPDN. There he goes. It starts to break down here. Did get back to VWAP, but rejected it. We'll see if it starts to fade down. Man, Shane coming in with a call. We did puts on SQQQ. Okay, so you did puts on it. So you're still bullish there. BMNR, very nice boom to 18. Get it, my friend. Just send us the screenshot. I thought it would move. You guys saw when I read the news. If you guys rewind that, you saw immediately. I liked it. It's just more, how do you take that type of position? Maybe it was in the pre-market when we were looking at 14, right? It didn't look bad. Now it's trying to break 18 there. We'll see if it gets through that high and then keeps going. But really nice name, BMNR. Of course, Tom Lee, Catalyst coming in, cashing. Oh, sorry, we did buy SQQQ. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure and clarify the message there, and I thank you for clarifying it, Tack. So you bought some SQQQs. Was it calls on SQQQ, or was it the actual stock, like the equity?
And when it makes sense, maybe do some hedging up here just to see if, right, if a lot of people probably doing it. You've made some good money. You want to put on a little bit of a hedge, right? It makes perfect sense. It's a great way to do it with using leveraged ETFs as opposed to the underlying market.
Now on that BMNR. So yeah, you enjoy that ride, man. Enjoy it. We'll be rooting for you. Palantir struggling, telling me more and more these momentum names are not getting the love that they were getting before all-time highs.
Okay. So this is
if Palantir can really break down here, this is where I think we start to really lose altitude. So I'm looking at a Palantir short right now.
So here's the rub.
There.
So
I'm gonna risk like $40 on this first attempt here on Palantir short. Swing trade short.
So just updating the bots. Enter happened, but it didn't send out a stop and a profit target. So that's why you monitor these things as you're building them. So that Tesla is just stopped out manually. Was looking for it to bounce there, didn't end up bouncing. So again, this is the iterative process of, okay, we got the entry orders working. Now let's try to do a stop loss and profit target. So
all right, we'll see what happens out here, guys. I think we're going to get a ramp up here. It's 10:30. Now it's time to see where the trend gets picked, really, right? The trend's been sideways almost from the open. If you look at the Qs, you have been leaking, but I also say you've been sideways since what? It's really the first opening action to 936. Yeah. So it's like sideways here since pretty much what? Now we're sideways for like an hour, close to an hour. So let's see what happens here, right? There's bets to be placed on both sides. It's just more, what do you want to place your bet on, right? So I think that we'll see what happens, how this plays out. And if you're a trader that has maybe no trades on right now, well, maybe you wait to see what happens with the trend, right? We'll wait to see what happens here, and we'll see what we get, man. 1027.
Well, yeah, and we got that Fed manufacturing index. Maybe something.
Palantir started to break down there. I'm short on it. Let's go.
A nice gap up today, yeah. So it could come back quite a bit, still be up on that that gap. Yeah, SPY again, like you mentioned, not doing anything. We got this Fed thing or manufacturing index in a few minutes, but again, a 2-star event, so not a big move, but maybe something needs to kick this market and get it going.
All right, guys, going to be able to put my break even on that swing trade. I'm going to put it just a little bit in the red just to give myself a little bit above the range. So the prior resistance was 137. I'm going to put 137.07. I'm in at 136.09 on this Palantir. So now it's just kind of more the recent resistance. I want to put it slightly above that. If it comes back to VWAP essentially or near VWAP, I'm going to be getting out. But if it just flushes through the support here, back through, let's say 136, we're golden. We're starting to get back up about $100, and we're looking for Palantir to leak all day long. Let's go.
Yeah, SPY is back to VWAP. It just can't leave VWAP. Can't not to the downside, not to the upside. It's stuck to VWAP. So watching it again just to see if we can clear VWAP. Maybe we take a shot at the pre-market highs, but they've given it a few attempts to break down here and just haven't been able to do it.
I think today is clearly one of those days where it's trying to get us to overtrade, right? So just be careful with overtrading today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more there, right? It's when the beauty of using something like VWAP is, right, if you boil down what it is, it's just the average price of the day. And
Q's coming back a little bit.
And if you can't move from the average price of the day, then it's just by definition not a super volatile day. So, make sure you're trading accordingly. Like we always say, you can trade in any environment. Just make sure you're doing what a lot of these people are doing and sticking to some of these crazier names out there that show some volatility, or you're just kind of taking your shot when you got them, right?
Yeah.
Take that move when it happens.
And sometimes you're going to get a pullback the first hour of the day, and then you'll get the rip higher, right? I always talk about how the day traders are gone now. And so now you have the real swing traders and the algos taking control. There's some volume that just jumped into the VXX. It was a volume spike there. So that is a good sign for me. Bad sign for some traders out there. I saw Palantir also rip higher, right back to 137. Stop me out. I might get back into that name because I think it's still an interesting move here. I'm just waiting to see if it gets through the VWAP or not. But there was some volume that spiked in there. Be careful out there. We'll see what happens now with that volume spike. At least for me, I definitely got some volume to come in there. I need to get the time and sales out here. Somehow it got hidden. There we go. It's about 4,000 shares that went through there, around 48. And the VXX, just looking out there. There's Palantir back to that VWAP look.
Yeah, just nothing can leave its VWAP home.
Yeah, nothing. Just keeps like kind of reject. All right, going to take one more shot in Palantir in a second, but I'm waiting for the candle to come back down. It keeps hitting highs, and there's no point in me just jumping on it right there. There we go. Now it starts to come down. I'll jump right back on it and put the stop right above it. So right where we're $60. We'll see what happens. I actually increased the Palantir to 200 shares on the swing. So I'm tightening down, but at the same time, trying to take a shot. Remember the first one I got out, break even. So I'm not really stressed about it. Looking for the move here. Let's see what happens. We got the liquidity search, right? Just recently before this, volume came in. Now I'm looking for the move to actually follow through. Same thing for the VXX. Wouldn't want it to break 48 now. I'm just watching that VXX 48. We'll see what happens here. And then it's just about the cues in the SPY, right? Does the SPY just come back up ramping? If it comes back up ramping, well, there you go. You flip out and you look for bullish trades, at least for me on my side. If not, then you're looking at different names, right? I'll be watching to see what happens here. I'd be interested in how Bitcoin's doing because it doesn't look like it's doing well. And it's been trying to catch up, but it can't get the move. We'll have to wait and find out here, guys.
Oh man, I just gotta say I love AI. Oh, like just trying to figure out this problem of it not sending the profit target and stop loss. I just took what the bot gave back as an error. I just dumped it in ChatGPT with my script code and said, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And it just went, "Here's your problem," and then fix the code for me. I don't know yet. I got to test it, but did rewrote the code. So just like anything,
what it's all about, man.
you gotta make sure you test. And what it's done is basically said, okay, it's you need to separate them out. So it needs to be an entry order, a stop loss order, and a profit target have to be kind of all separate. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll try that. And then you just iterate, right? So it's not like I'm gonna risk this with a big bunch of all my money, but you know, we're testing. We got this new eval account open. The goal of this eval account is to never push a button, to never place a trade, to never take off a trade early, to never just let the robot work.
Some trades being mentioned out there in the chat. I see you, chat. I see you guys out there.
EQIX. I don't know.
All right, guys, let's go. Let's go. I'm sorry for all the bulls out there, but I kind of need a bearish day today, guys.
Well, the bulls have made so much money recently. You can have one. Right?
You guys can tag Trade the Pool later today if we go red and just be like, it's all Money Mitch's fault. You guys can do whatever GIF you want. Have a blast. Tag me at MoneyMitch_TTP. Or it could be the opposite. Ha ha, bear to Mitch. Have some fun, guys. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the Bears should get one at some point. It's been a long.
At some point, they deserve one at some point, right?
They need something. The poor Bears have been starved for so long.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Here's a little rip there in the VXX now going to the highs, and now it's more, do they take it? Remember that big volume? That's why it made me feel a little bit more confident that someone stepped up to the plate there. The best part, I didn't see it on the time and sales. I just see a volume jump here, but it's like, it's a pretty big jump. 122. I don't see that going through on the time and sales. So we'll see if it's just kind of some dark pulling or something that's going on there, why I'm not seeing it. But now we're really starting to get the push there. VXX 48.29s on the next push. I'll be able to take some profits, and hopefully with depending on the push, could be back to at least break even with the mentality, right? So what I'm going to do is, I have this mentality a lot of the times when I get these rips of taking a big loss. Biggest part of today is get back to break even. Biggest part. It's not about winning today. It's about getting back, right? Survivor mentality.
Wow, Reddit up 8% for the day. What a move.
Palantir trying to come right back here. We'll see what happens if it does come back. I'm not going to give it too much here. It's rejecting the VWAP a little bit here, but it could go higher. looks right there for Palantir to start pushing back up. So just keep your eyes on that. I got 4830s to show up there on the VXX. It's hitting the range there, so I need to focus on that. But I'm also in the swing trade. This is where it's hard. This is where I need the bots. Especially because I'm not the biggest fan of using like showing the stop. But
well, BMNR still going wild. It's a volatile move, but it is, yeah, it's working its way up to that 22, which would be interesting if we actually had an up day on Bitcoin or Ethereum. What would actually be happening? Because we're down across the board on all cryptos. So
yeah, that's why I think it's interesting. It definitely is.
A crypto stock moving in times that nothing else is moving is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Getting a squeeze there, and Palantir already get the stop out there now. It's probably going to hit it here in a second, but just letting you guys know, at least Palantir is squeezing. There's a VIX squeezing, at least. I'm looking good there, guys. I'm going to focus in on that now.
All right, round.
Now I just need to see how much of the Qs drop here. There's a nice spike there. Now we're looking good now. Looking for a little rip here to sell about half of it on the position. It's going to be more about the Qs as it just rip down here and start to drop. Qs are bouncing a little bit there, so I got to be smart. Got to be patient here. Sometimes putting out too much stops right now. I feel like this is how you get stop hunted right here is when you put it out right now. So there's Palantir going into the green. That looks great with my 200 shares. Still going to put out the stop to let that one work. Now it's starting to really get into the green. You see it here in the bottom left. That's looking really good here. Now I just need the Qs to break a little bit further here, but I'm not getting it just yet. So at this point, I'm getting close to just taking profits, or at least some profits here.
Yeah, we've hit that. We rare to have a triple bottom, but we've hit this 116 now three times, and each time buyers have come in.
Yeah, buyers showing up a little bit there. I sold half of it right there because it's just like, all right, it's just at least limit the damage, right? So I can at least limit the damage there, take 140 back, right? I lost like 258, need to bounce back. This makes me feel at least comfortable hanging out, right? Because at worst, it comes back to me and I'm still down 300. Now, at least this is more of a reasonable loss. I'm trying to keep the losses on this account towards like 100 to 150. Nothing more than that 150, because that's when I start to kind of fall off, right? And so right there is 140. Now I'm down 140. It's like I took a loss today, just a simple loss. Now I'm just going to let this trade work almost as it was a new position. If I was on from 500 shares at 48.09, where would I take the gains? Now I'm looking for the breakout continuation, and I'm looking for prior support to act as resistant, or prior support to start acting holding up here. So we broke through the prior support of 48.20s. That could be where we could pull back here, but I don't want to see like, let's say 48 back, right? So now I'm just trying to let this work. And it's really about the Qs giving us a bigger candle towards like 549. If it doesn't give us that candle, I think we still could recover here, and you're pushing it, right? So we need to get through the 15-minute support. 15-minute supports, look for 15-minute support breakdowns now in the Qs. And look how Palantir is trying to get me, man. That thing is trying to come back. More than likely going to get me. Qs, right? Do we stop here, or do we rebound off of that? You could still rebound off of that. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, which would, again, just be wild that we've just done all this.
Look at that. Look at all that bottoming.
Over and over again.
1, 2, 3, 4 bottoms. So if this 15-minute candle closes green, I could flip to bullish. But if it closes red on the downside break, then I could stay bearish, right? And so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, if we climb back up to hit VWAP again, it's going to be just again a wild day where we just can't leave VWAP today. So the move would have been to every time we hit VWAP, you take a short. Every time it moves from VWAP, you take a cover. Not only not doing anything today, but in such a low volatility manner. So, right, that's why a lot of people I know are trading this BM and are probably the right move because
At least you
these
have
are,
movement there, right?
yeah,
At
you
least you
got,
have movement.
if you're feeling it right, at least you have movement, right? Double-edged sword. If you're reading it wrong, you're having a bit of a bad time. But if you're reading it right, then pretty decent trade there. So,
All right, guys, gonna hold towards 48.19, right? So I said in the 20s we should see some buying come back in on this VXX. So that's exactly what I'm gonna expect to see now. Even if it doesn't come back in, it starts to undercut the 48.20s. I know I can get out there at the 48.18s and still take a gain. So we'll see what happens here, guys. All right, I'm seeing my man Andy getting ready in the back. We'll be bringing him on in just shortly here, guys. So we'll wrap up the day with a little macro conversation. We can maybe even take a look at maybe some movers that Andrew's watching. But like always, guys, if you guys have questions on a trade, stick around. Got some good insight coming on right now. Whew. Just seems like it's a choppy day, man. Seems like we're going to make a call here, but at least I'm giving myself a shot here to make a gain. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, chop. If you want to describe this morning, that's it, right? It's just
tough day for sure.
Try not to get chopped up too much. Wait for the market to do something to prove to you that it's going to do anything. And until then, just what I'll be spending my day on is working on this bot, see if I can get it fully automated for tomorrow. Worked a lot over the weekend.
On Palantir to risk to 40 now. It's hit up there 3 times. It needs to cut this 137 now and just go. So I'll show you the Palantir right quick. Looking for this to see if it's going to cut down this 137 and just start to get going. So you see how it's been up here 1, 2, 3 times. I call it the VWAP rejection trade when you get above VWAP, but then you start to reject and then you look to see if the support breaks, right? So to me, the trade needs to work. It needs to go into this area and go with a big bar down.
Yeah, it's an interesting look. You need, for those high flyers to move, I think you need some amount of market movement, and they're not giving us that.
Yeah. I'm just seeing the it's like a leak, but it's not like a big leak. And so I'm just wondering, does they finally give up? Do they finally put the buy the dip machines to sleep?
That, like we talked about, looking at the positioning data today, they're still short. So they're with you, right? You're with the large institutions that are looking for some sort of a sell that they can get into. They need that desperately. The market's at all-time highs. So all of those guys that are short, we know are losing money. So it's one of those, do they start pulling every lever they can possibly get their hands on in order to start pushing this market down? Right? Try some news events, try, stuffing the bid a couple times, whatever they can do. And if they fail, then what? You got to cover. It doesn't matter if you're a big trader or small trader. If you're short at all-time highs, and if the market keeps going, eventually your broker's going to call you and say, you got to cover those positions, man.
Well, all right. We won't call the brokerage, but we will call my man Andy Moss to the stream. Let's go ahead. Let's bring him on, fellow CMT. There you go. What's going on, Andy? How we doing?
Hey, morning. What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Paradise, chop paradise out here. Hope you got your weekly chop at Chipotle. Is it the bowl with the burrito on the side? Because it seems like we're getting that right now. A little bit of some chop here at all-time highs. What are you seeing out there right now, Andy?
Little sell-off into a short week. I don't think it's very surprising. Most of the buyers are probably already on vacation. And
what vacation? Smaycation.
Yeah, who takes
Let's
vacation?
go.
So I don't think. I don't think anybody's probably too surprised in our morning call this morning. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
David was talking about just gut feel. Think it, probably due for a bit of a gut check. Nothing dramatic, nothing really terrible, but you grind up to new highs for 5 days straight last week, pretty much. And, folks are going to take some profit eventually. We've seen little dips along the way. You can see on the roadmap chart that I post every morning, which is the stock index futures. You can several reference points there. They've got a 5-day moving average catching up to pivot highs on the ES mini futures there. And then I put an anchored VWAP from that little dip we had late last week. It's that's clocking in at like 62.21 right now. So, plenty of reference points along the way. Just watch it keep grinding higher and move those points of interest up underneath as it follows along. And that's you just kind of follow the plan when this happens, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to keep it simple at this point, especially after we've broken the all-time highs there. And it's going to be interesting where to look at now. Where do you see maybe opportunities still being within this kind of weird bull market, right? Because it was pretty much the fastest bear market. We're right back to a bull market. Where are you seeing opportunities in the bull market?
Everybody's looking at IWM. It just coming up against its 200-day moving average, and just that is the trade that just keeps everyone guessing and waiting.
That's for sure.
I was about to say, is it ever? Would you think it's gotta at some point? It's just been. I remember reading the books, and I'm sure you did too, Andy, where you're supposed to get a premium on your small caps because they're riskier. You haven't been getting that premium for 5 years at least. That just hasn't.
No, and you and I have talked about this before, and it's I think we all probably feel the same. It's like, just take it off the screen and forget about it. And not everyone has done that yet. And when everybody just finally just says, you know what, forget this thing, I'm moving on to other stuff, maybe then it goes. But IWM and XBI kind of trade there together on a big picture thing. It's pretty tight. I noticed this morning, I was looking at XBI sitting here on the chart with the 821 and 100-day moving averages all within a penny of each other. It's got like 4 days almost completely inside the range of the 5th day, which was a little bit of a pop back over the 21-day. So, it's just really tight. Point is, it's really tight. Maybe it goes, I don't know which direction it goes. It's above all the moving averages except for the 200 days. So that keeps the bull case intact, but something to watch for there. But, I'm catching up. We've been busy this morning, and I just got the tail end of some of your all's comments about Palantir. Yeah. And back to where, looking at the shorter term opportunities, we had that rebalance Friday, and it got crushed into the close. And just a really nice kind of a tactical trade for that was we had a lot of folks in the room just putting some bids out as that thing was getting crushed into the rebalance, and it's up 6 points this morning. Are you retiring on the trade? Probably not, but it's nice cash flow. And there's things like that happen. And if you know where to look, you get ready for it. And you're in and out. And I'm not sure. Were you guys maybe short or talking about shorts on that this morning? There was a pop. Yeah. A lot of people got either flat or extremely small on the long position. And some folks were buying puts into this move right there, kind of with you guys. So,
I've been playing it. I've been in and out of it this morning, looking for more of a swing trade opportunity if it's going to be a day where we just flush, right? So I've been in and out of it, kind of especially shorting in just recently, right? So kind of got in here, then out, then in, and it's just kind of hanging out at this 137.50 right on the VWAP, right? So we could still reclaim it and come back up. It's going to be more about the cues, I think, here in the overall market. If the market just starts to flush, I think this will just follow it too. Right.
And this is one of those that, right, Mitch is short and I'm long. So at the very least, the stream is nicely hedged. But no, I've got one of my systems, and Andy, I'm a systems guy, was just buying the all-time highs, right? So way back at 125 when it made those all-time highs, bought a bunch there, and then I'm just waiting for something to give me a reason to get out, right? And it just that reason hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, the longer term, the strength has been undeniable, right? It just keeps going. It's kind of been the best of both worlds with an AI theme and some defense, some government contracts to pay the bills and all, just a lot of good stuff there. So those theme plays keep working out, that the indices are, they're doing what they do. And we like to see markets reverse bear territory very quickly, but the, AI is alive and well. Crypto, stablecoin, all of the kind of the hot items lately have been providing the kind of the quicker or shorter term swing trade opportunities. There last week we had calls on Circle that paid really well for the for the service there, and Oscar OSCR was another one we're looking at, and plenty to do if you don't try to do too much, I think is what it kind of sums up to.
You mentioned crypto, so I've been picking the brain of every CMT I can find on this. We're not getting that participation here in Bitcoin. Definitely not in the riskier cryptos. Like if you're looking at like Ethereum, Solana looks okay. It broke out of this kind of downtrend channel I have drawn here at this huge support zone. But just you're getting equities hit all-time highs, and you're getting crypto again, especially the kind of risk on crypto, just not playing ball at all. Do you read too deeply into that, or am I just too obsessed with this as a risk on indicator?
I've asked myself that question a lot, and to me, Bitcoin is getting up there in ranks as almost as frustrating as IWM. It doesn't seem to want to give any follow through, which is, it's almost kind of ridiculous to say out loud because it just moved from, like 74s up to 112. That's pretty good follow through. And so it does have those bigger moves. But then if you look at that, since that 112 peak, it chops around and it gets in these really tight ranges, and then it breaks out and it comes right back. It's been, if you're really dialed into the mean reversion trade and taking the opposite side of those sharp moves, there's been a lot of opportunity there. But it just, I don't know that it's got as much utility as a risk on and risk off measure like it used to. And it's almost trading more like a large cap or a really mainstream blue chip kind of thing. And it's, if you just zoom out and give a little more time and a little more room, kind of the big, a little bit like you drew on that Solana chart, I think it was. I mean, there's actually, it's a little loose and wide, but there's really there's a bull flag type pattern playing out on the daily chart here from that 112 peak down to, the 100s. That's, you never know. This thing could go about the time we get frustrated with it and start to lose focus is exactly when this could go from, make that measured move. Let's see, 75 to call it 110, 35. I mean, we could be 140s in, in another couple of months by fall. It's not out of the realm of technical possibility, but, sure seems the closer you watch it, the more frustrating it gets, I guess.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing is I just expected something by now, like either make the move or fail to make the move, right? One of the two, and instead of just absolutely no action across pretty much everything on the crypto front, from meme stocks to utility tokens to real crypto, you'd think there'd be some participation in this. So it, as much as I'm all bulled up and fully invested on the way up in equities, it just worries me a little bit that if we can't get every risk asset on board, then we don't get that called a bubble or a ramp up or whatever that we all want to see, where the market just shoots higher like a 2021 and people are spending stupid amount of monies for pictures of rocks, because that's the kind of market I want, because those are the easiest ones to trade. I'm worried that if we don't get this kind of broad asset participation, that it will be a lot of boring chop, and that just might be a little bit more frustrated for us. Means more work, right? Whereas as opposed to just buy whatever and hold it, because we're definitely not in that environment right now. And to be honest, I kind of wish we were.
Yeah, I did see a nice rock picture got sold for a good amount. So NFTs are coming back a little bit. So that might help you, my friend.
Hoping so.
There's your risk on, risk off indicator, right? Is when the really silly stuff starts. And I don't even know. There's something going around last week. What was this? Is not.
It was the Pudgy ETF, the NFT
Pudgy?
ETF. Yeah,
well, there was
Pudgy
something
Penguin.
called was it a Labubu or some kind of like it was like a Beanie Baby again? I mean, when people start drafting,
they're
when
the collectibles.
folks are making up new things.
But one thing I will tell you is that the collectible game got hot again. Remember, like in the 80s and 90s, like that was a cool thing, like to do, like find collectibles and make money that way. And so I think that got hot again. So you might actually see some things there, right? I know like there's so many people like doing like, let's say sports cards opening packs on YouTube, and trust me, insane views just to see somebody open a pack of cards, right? So
I believe it.
In my eyes, the collector and that mentality is where the money went. Remember when the money was in the markets, it kind of went to the collectors. And then now it could come back to the market with all-time highs, because we all know how investors are. They react when they hear that, right? Especially if you're not in tune with the market. They're like, all of a sudden on the radio show that they're listening to, whatever, it might be country, and they're like, well, stock market's at new all-time highs. And they're like, what? I'm not fully invested.
Yeah. And then, of course, everybody thinks it's too late, so they got to start buying baseball cards and all that kind of stuff, right? The animal spirits, as they say.
Animal spirits are out there, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. No doubt.
Anything for those traders out there that maybe have missed some of this run and are looking for trades? Where could they be looking, or what could they maybe use to keep themselves safe in a time like this if they've missed a lot of this move?
Don't force it. Patience is, these kind of markets, and as Michael was saying, we're active traders. We're craving action. We want something to do. If you come in and you don't do anything all day, you don't feel like you're working hard, right? And so we want to do things. And this could easily be, look what the market's done since the April dip. It's to Bitcoin. If we just like shut up and buy Bitcoin at $75,000, $80,000 and forget about it. That doesn't feed those animal spirits that we're just talking about. It's easy in hindsight. But the point is, the market's really strong, right? You don't get FOMO, don't force trades, just have a plan and whether you're buying breakouts or you want to buy dips, whatever your style is, there's opportunity. Just be ready for what you like, be ready for those setups to emerge and have your plan in place. And then just execute when the triggers hit. It's not. It sounds very simple, and it's not always easy. And the advice is not different than it would be from any other type of market. That's just what we have to do, is try to temper ourselves from chasing excitement and just be like, look, here's the plan. This is what I do. This is how I do it. I'm just going to execute when the trades show up. And Michael, that's again, to some of our earlier conversations, I love your systems trading. Because that allows, I think that's really probably the best way to take advantage of that kind of planning, is just, it's not a set it and forget it, but it helps you take that FOMO or that excitement out and just do the trades that make sense for your system.
Makes complete sense to me, man. It does sound real.
Yeah, just over the long run, right? It's, again, whether or not you're doing it like I am with robots and AIs and all that kind of stuff, or whether you just have a written plan and you're following it through, I couldn't agree more. That's the way to stay alive in this game and to not get as gray as both me and Andy are going, right? A little
keeps coming.
Yeah, I know. It will. It'll just keep going forever now.
Don't scare me, boys.
Oh, you're next. You're next. Don't you worry.
Don't scare me, boys. Don't scare me, boys. All right, guys. Like always, guys, keep up with Andy. Andy's Twitter right there in the chat. Go ahead and click the link. Give him a nice follow. I always love the weekly charts he puts out, guys. So definitely catch him. One of the best weekend threads out there on Twitter that you guys can keep up with. Do his hard work throughout the week also. But hey, we always love a little hard work on the weekend to help traders take a look at perspective, especially when the markets are closed and you can focus on those deeper time frame charts. That's one thing I definitely see you do, Andy. And I'm sure it helps you find the bigger trade, not necessarily just that one-day trade.
those moments of clarity are always a little easier to get to when the red and green's not flashing all over your screen, right? So multiple time
1000%.
frame look, you gotta put all the pieces together. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm happy to do the work and happy that it helps me tremendously. It's a huge part of my process, and I'm always pleased to know that it's beneficial to others too. So thanks for that.
Well, getting some love in the chat. That's what we like to see, and that's what it's all about. Andy Moss, guys, check him out. Another CMT working hard. Keep up with him on Twitter. Thank you, Andy, for coming on.
Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. 11:02. We went a little overtime, so you do us the favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe down below, and stay right here, of course, on Trade the Pool. You guys can always keep up with the action on our Discord. And tomorrow, I'll be on Trader TV Live at 8:45. We'll start the show at 9 a.m. And we'll be having Steve back on Wednesday. I'm looking to have Giles Coughlin back on. And on Thursday, going to have Quasar Markets. So we got an action-packed week. We're going to be right here on Trade the Pool. Check out the new swing plans if you haven't done so already. I'm taking a swing on Palantir. It's looking great, guys. We will see what happens. Sometimes you got to take losses. Sometimes you got to get back in. I took a $68 loss. I'm back in. We'll find out how the trades go. Where can you find out? Stay up with our Twitter. MoneyMitch @_TTP. Michael Noss, you guys see his tag right there. Give him a good follow. And like always, we'll be here battling along with you guys. See you next time on Trade the Pool.